Yeah, I'm with you. 6:04. I had to wait for the news. Yeah, you didn't hear it. No, I was running late. I was still taking notes and get caught up in notes. So I signed on. I didn't even have a hat on. I look at the cameras. It appears that I'm without hair today. A few things. I've got Elijah Norton going to be calling in at 7:00, somewhere around there. 7:00. I see Mad Mike, I think, called me this morning or text me. Let him know I'm on. And a lot of responses. Yeah, I get here so early, and I have plenty of time, and it's one of those things when you have plenty of time, so you don't pay attention to it. It's unfortunate. Let's take a phone call. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Russ. I just wanted to get you early.
Okay.
Have a beef about something you presented yesterday.
Okay.
And my beef is that you keep on perpetuating the Democrat narrative.
Okay.
And when you read the letter or the article about marriage, that our children are not marrying,
Right.
that's not our children. The conservative children are God-fearing children. There's one article that should be read, is that our children are waiting to have sex before they're married.
Oh, I agree. That does exist, by the way. It does exist.
But when you say, and you and Beck say, and Hannity and O'Reilly say that America,
Yeah.
you're taking down the Saul-Alinsky wall that they are numbered, I think, to the 98%. They just have the megaphone, and you perpetuate the megaphone. Rush Limbaugh crushed the narrative all the time. And I wish that if you're going to read that article,
right,
you need to add the caveat.
What?
You always say you. I don't know why I don't mean you. I mean
when I talk about a situation, I use the term you instead of the stats.
No, I use the term you, and you think I'm attacking you.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay. But the thing about it is that when you say America, you're bashing down the wall that says, and I'll give you 20%, 80%. We still outnumber them. We outnumber them severely. It is not a 50-50. It is not a 49-60.
And you say that people that are conservatives would outnumber the liberals. I think you're probably right. Yes. Yeah.
And now, but when you say America, you're American children. You're including us.
Correct.
And we our children are getting married, and our children are getting married, and they know that marriage is for having children.
Correct.
That side is destroying that institution of marriage. And so that's why that guy who authored
it was Glenn
article,
Beck, by the way, that authored that.
You know what? Glenn Beck to me is a frump.
Okay.
I have lost respect for him, and he does it all the time.
Yeah.
Our children are committing more suicide. No, we're not. Their children are committing suicide.
Well,
America is aborting more babies. No, we're not. That's why I've become a proponent for abortion, because abortion kills. Democrat women do abortions, and that's why I'm for abortion.
Yeah, I can't join you in that. But look, the The reason I go through those is those are real stats that are happening in our country, inside the boundaries of our country, citizens of our country. So, I mean,
It's
I'm
not a stat.
including that entire thing. I'm not
You
separating,
can
you know.
you can say the article,
Yeah.
but please include the demographic of 10%, 90%. Don't say all America. When you say all America, it's like when we took tests in when we were in high school. One of the things you knew the question was false when it said all, when it was all inclusive. You knew the answer to that question was false and a true or false question.
Yeah,
Test question.
I could pay attention to that. I don't know exactly how I framed it at the time, but I'm talking about the entire nation, regardless of where it's from. We have destroyed America in this country, and I think a lot of it's our government that has gone along with it, and they punish people that are married financially. There's a penalty to be married, a marriage tax,
Right.
actually, and I think, and then there's a welfare advantage to be single, which I think is what promotes it all. And if anything, we've destroyed, families in the meantime, and it made them dependent on government. And that's the whole problem, I think. And it's good that we pointed out, and you're talking about differentiation, and it's not everybody, and I agree it's not, and I probably don't emphasize
Well,
that.
that's where Charlie Kirk's rocket was so was so blazing, because he does not agree with you.
Charlie
Now,
Kirk? What
now
what would Charlie Kirk differ on?
Charlie Kirk promoted marriage. He promoted Christianity. He promoted that aspect of. I mean, let's face it. When you're talking marriage, you're talking Christianity. You're talking about a vow that is a sacred vow.
It's
You
it's
know, and
it, it's right. It's a sacred covenant between God and you, not between
right.
each other. It's a sacred to God. Absolutely, I understand that.
So, but I agree with you that the government has destroyed the institution of marriage. You understand what
Right.
I'm saying there in that
Yes.
statement? The institution, because Marxism, that's what they do. They kill a civilization by attacking each one of the sacred institutions. And one of those institutions that Marxism did a very good job with the Democrat, through media, through movies, through TV, through sitcoms, and they kept on pulsing us 24/7. But they didn't succeed. They didn't succeed. They succeed now. When we talk about, well, you talk about the welfare affected the black people. Welfare affected white trash too.
Well,
And
yeah,
what
percentage-wise, I mean, it affected everybody. I think percentage-wise, it was a heavy percentage of blacks based on the percentage of the
it
population, but
affected
unfortunately.
it didn't affect everybody. It affected that 20%. And that 20% doesn't have a race. There's trailer trash, and there's blacks, and so it doesn't have a race, but it affected that 20%, not the other, not the other, the 80%.
I lived in a trailer when I
We
was
are,
first married, and while I was going to college. So
you know
I
who else
wouldn't I don't
did?
know if I was trailer trash, but I definitely lived in a
Yeah, no, but there are people who are. I'm differentiating. I don't want to say the N word.
Okay.
I'm differentiating between the two races, white and black.
Well,
The white.
okay.
What?
I said, "Okay, go ahead."
People live in trailers, but they weren't trailer trash. Trailer
Well,
trash is trailer trash.
I
You know who was trailer trash?
who?
Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. That's trailer
I
trash.
don't use that terminology at all, and, I don't know if, I don't know if the race thing matters. I don't know, and I went
Well,
to
go
if
ahead.
you talk about and you're talking about people in poverty, and that's what you're relating to on the black race and poverty more? I don't know. I don't know.
What I'm using race for
Mhm.
is when it is The welfare destroyed the institution of marriage, and that's the purpose of it. That was the sole purpose of it, to take the male out of the family. Now, and that affected a certain demographic of the black side. That affected a certain demographic of the white side.
Absolutely did.
So I'm not.
It went across
I'm not
racial
being
lines. It did.
correct,
Yeah.
but I'm not including all people who lived in trailers. Of
Okay,
course,
good.
I'm not including.
Good.
I'm not including all black people because, you know, you look at Ben Carson. I mean, come on. You
Oh,
know, grew up in abject poverty. J.D. Vance grew up. J.D. Grant Vance grew up in a trailer.
oh, there's a long list. I mean, there's a huge
Right.
list. This whole about
But the idea that they didn't beat us. They didn't beat us.
yeah.
We that 20% they beat down. Well, and let's get back to the letter.
Yeah.
So, I please, if you're going to read, Glenn Beck has no credibility. You
Oh,
make it sound like Glenn Beck is a fearmonger who sells books. If you really listen to the twang behind his tune, he's
yeah.
a fearmonger, and he makes money off of that.
I like him. I
But
think he's done some great things. I do.
he's entertaining. He
I
is. He is a joke. He is entertaining.
of course. So was Rush Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh used that as a foil.
Well, no,
Rush,
he absolutely said you have to be entertaining. Absolutely said.
absolutely,
Yeah.
but he used that as a foil. That man, without a college education, was the brightest star on the world.
Yeah, he was. He was unique, and he was brilliant. Yeah.
And unfortunately, the people who came up after him never learned a damn thing from him. Bongino and O'Reilly never learned a damn thing from him.
There's things I like about both
letter.
of those, but they were no Rush Limbaugh, and neither was Mark Levin, and he's brilliant. Levin's really smart, but he's no Rush Limbaugh. I don't think anybody tries to be. You know, you're not going to reach that. Yeah.
But let's get back to the letter. I'm
Okay.
just trying to say, if you're going to, I'm calling in to push against your all inclusiveness in that letter, and it's not all inclusive. Our side is better than them. Our children are smarter than they are. Our children are more moral than they are, and they just don't get the media. And sir, you keep perpetuating the Saul Alinsky narrative when we should be bashing it.
I'm not the big basher. I can't do that, but I want to point out the problems. I definitely do, and I'm going to include everybody that lives it's on the census that as being American. But I agree with you. There are sections of America that get it right, that give to society instead of taking from society.
A greater number of that of Americans in that society.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to change my wording of bashing. Okay, what I'm saying is, do not perpetuate. If you're going to say something that is all inclusive, please include the percentage.
My
country.
Okay, and I think I did a lot on that, but my message is more, look, we got problems we need to fix. And if we don't talk about the problems, we're not going to address them, and we need to address the problems. We need to address the fact the government perpetuates this thing. And we've got some real evil out there that we're fighting every day, and we need to talk openly about it. And I don't mind doing that.
Well,
but I'm not.
What is Burke? And I'm not gonna be able to remember it word for word. But what did Burke say? Ronald Reagan used to say it a lot. Evil only prevails if good people do nothing.
Right.
There is a lot of evil out there, and it's like, I'm not afraid of it because I know we outnumber them. I'm not afraid of it because I know they have the megaphone. You are our megaphone.
Yeah.
And this small portion to have our coffee in the morning and listen to you, you are our megaphone. So please you can say the broad brush, but please add the caveat. And the caveat is the same thing as saying, well, when we talk about our guy, and he goes, but we're all not perfect.
No.
We talk about our guy. I just don't like the way he says things.
Okay.
People always add that caveat when we talk about Trump, but we don't add that caveat when we talk about anybody else. Why do we have to add that caveat?
Don't know. And I will keep that all in mind, Mike. And you're right. I do have a megaphone here, and I agree with Reagan. Evil will prosper if we don't do anything. I've been in studio since 4 o'clock this morning doing something now, and that is to inform, to talk about things that other people won't talk about, to bring and I don't care if it's religion, if it's sex, if it's race or whatever. We're going to talk about the things that are hurting our country and the things that I think we can do better, as well as current events and what's going on in human, the whole bit, and informational stuff. And then allowing people like you to call in and also add to the voice. I don't dominate it in here. I allow everybody, an opportunity to call them, and I do appreciate it. I appreciate the different viewpoints in the whole thing. But I'm always learning every day, buddy.
But I gotta add one more thing, if you don't mind.
What's up?
That is a magnificent bald head you have there. And please put the cap on.
I forgot to put my cap on this morning.
I can't see the screen.
Well, makeup or cap, one way or the other, buddy. We got to get it done. Thank you, sir.
And that's it. We laugh after we bash each other. And you have a good day.
Take care. Bye-bye. Yeah, I need to get the hat on, I think. People are complaining. I didn't used to be bald. There was a time I had hair. I grew it. No question. I forgot to get the disclaimer. I should have done that before Mike. You never know. All content presented in the Russ Clark Show, including statements made by guest commentators and callers, reflect the personal opinions of those individuals and is provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. These views do not represent the official position of Mortgage One Studios, its owners, employees, affiliates, or partners. Mortgage One Studios does not endorse, verify, or guarantee the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of its statements made by third parties during programming. See, I do not guarantee any accuracy from my last caller, but I think he studies. I think he does. Now, I got a comment this morning like, "Oh, I have an idea. Let's give more money to Israel instead of our backyard." And I see that a lot about Israel. Some of it is just pure anti-Semitism, and some of it's maybe practical. I don't know. We do. I don't know how much money we give Israel compared to other countries. I think we give too much overseas at times. Israel's one of the few friends we have in that region, although that thing's growing. I don't know if you see what's going on with Iran today. Saudi Arabia is an ally of ours now. United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kuwait, Oman. Yeah. It's kind of nice. And I tell you, Trump had the Abraham Accords where I don't know who signed on to that. I think it was Egypt or something, and a few. And Trump's trying to push others into that and to make peace in the region. And then maybe some of that aid quits, but their military is ferocious, and they're one person we could count on. Look, when this thing blew up with Iran, and the decision was to stop the nuclear because they were very close to the bomb. They were getting very close to the bomb, and they are not a polite regime, and they probably would use the bomb because they don't seem to care about life. Who was at our side? I mean, who came in? Israel. Israel did. Yeah, they have some F-35s that we designed and built. They fly them better from what I understand from the Air Force. My son in the Air Force tells me that Israel, better pilots, better training, that kind of stuff. So I think they come to our side. Not Spain, not Britain, not France, not Italy. Not Germany. Hey, Andy, I missed your call, buddy. What's up, man?
No, you didn't miss a call. I was going to text you. I was going to tell you, I did some quick research for you. The United States gives Israel $3.8 billion approximately per year in military aid.
All right.
That's just what the government gives them. And then there's all sorts of other groups that I didn't get the chance to read the rest of it here that give money and aid to Israel for other things, but we only give 3.8 billion approximately in military aid.
Wow, I don't know that's. I mean, that's less than I would have thought. I didn't know what the number was.
but it's hard to say because we kind of have them on a long leash because they ask for something, we just give it to them. We don't question it.
I have no idea
Granted,
about that. But look, when we needed something from them, they did it. And when Trump asked them to back off, they backed off. I mean, they cooperated. There's not a lot of countries that we have that kind of cooperation and with. Look how
well,
many turned their backs on us.
That's between him and Netanyahu.
Yeah.
I mean, Netanyahu respects him for who he is, but it's like I say, Israel. We should probably help them a lot more, but they're self-sufficient.
Oh,
they can take care of themselves as long as they got enough military aid that they need, and I think we're giving it to them.
Yeah. It sounds like we give them less than we do the rest of. I mean, see, the United States spends roughly 155 billion to 220 billion annually buying German goods. No, sorry, that's not what I was looking for. U.S. imported. No, I'm talking imports. Military.
Well,
we have 35,000 active duty troops in Germany. I don't know what
and that's giving them a bit too.
Yeah.
There's
They spend roughly 4.1 billion there. So we spend more on Germany, and we don't have that good a relationship with them.
Well, but the point is, we don't have a real large amount of troops in Israel. You're talking about how much it costs us to keep our troops in Germany to run the bases.
Yeah.
See, they're not giving that directly to Germany.
No. But that's what. But they believe me, they reap the profits. I mean, look at the families that spend money there.
Of course.
And the goods and services we have to buy while we're there. I mean, it's much more than that. And I think Trump's doing the right thing to look at our friends, and that's where we should be, putting troops in and stuff like that if we're going to have troops overseas. And in a lot of ways, and I've talked to other military guys, and it makes sense to have troops overseas at times. It actually reduces the cost of having those troops because the country that we're in does help with a lot of the costs, some of it, the property and all that stuff, and some of the facilities. But it's not terrible for us to have troops overseas as far as expense at times if we're going to have that many people.
We have them all within what we call a 48-hour window. For most of the troops we have in Europe, within 48 hours of call up, we can have them anywhere in Europe.
Wow.
So if a conflict comes up, we can move quite a few people all around the country, all around Europe.
I wonder, do we keep anything in Israel?
I don't think so. I don't think I'd have to look that up. I don't think we have anything over there. We do in the Emirates. We have a lot of stuff over there. As you notice, now we're flying out of UAE on missions. We're flying out of all these little countries. And, oh no, you can't. Now they want the straight open, so they're telling the president, okay, yeah, you're welcome. Come on over here and use your own bases that you built, and do what you need. We want this over.
Yeah, we have about.
That's happened in the last 4 days.
Yeah, we have 6,000 troops in Israel, roughly, for security and stuff. But we don't have a base there. But I guess there's troops over there.
No, not to speak of.
Yeah.
But like I say, we have bases in Qatar. We have bases in Kuwait, and we have bases in Saudi Arabia.
And those guys have proven to be better with us than Europe. Europe sucks.
Really.
Yeah.
Come on, why don't you just say what's really on your mind? They don't suck. Suck. I gotta remember that we had young people and listening.
They take us completely for granted. They
always have.
Yeah.
We get in trouble. The United States is going to come bail us out. And like I say, do we have any bases in France?
Really? No.
And you know why?
I don't think so. They kicked us out, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, and we're just tired of people who won't stand up for themselves. Stand up for yourself. You got money, take care of yourself. But they're all going to work now.
Well, and they stopped spending money because I think because we're there. I mean, I'm sure that's part of it, and so they can do all these social programs that fail.
Well, and look at what's happening in England right now. That place is going under every day.
You see, I just asked artificial intelligence about bases in Europe. The United States maintains over 40 permanent military bases and dozens of smaller installations in Europe, housing approximately 80 to 100,000 deployed personnel.
Well, like
But
I
I
say,
guess I think they're including the Middle East. They have to be.
they're all on that 48-hour call-up, all the bases.
Oh,
So
they
there's
could.
a major outbreak where they got to get somebody there within 48 hours. We're there.
Well,
that's
logistically,
exactly
we can move people better than we ever have. Yeah.
Oh
Really.
yeah,
Yeah.
you still got you got your C-17 can carry 400 fighters.
Yeah.
They can pack 400 paratroopers in if they wanted to in a C-17. So but the thing is we have the military powers more than anybody else does. In some places, we have more of our people there than that they have in their whole military.
I think we need to pull some of them out. Wow, we've
Well,
got quite a few in England, quite a few in Germany. I think we have 2 in Spain. It looks like none in France at all. I think we should go to Poland. We need to have bases in Poland. I like those guys.
They like us too, so
Yeah.
that's a good thing. Everything since Lech Walesa, went from the Labor Party and took over the presidency in Poland. That country has changed.
Yeah.
That's been a long time ago.
And if Ukraine ever wins the war, they need to put bases there.
Well, here's what gets me is the whole reason Ukraine is getting stomped on right now is because they're not getting stomped on. They're doing fairly well. It surprised me.
Yeah.
We told them if because they had nuclear weapons when they separated from Russia. Okay, and then we told them, and I'm not sure which president was under. I think it might have been Reagan. But if you give us all your nuclear weapons, we will protect you if something happens.
That was the written agreement between the three countries, Russia, United States, and Ukraine, that they would not invade and we would protect them if they did. And none of us have held up to that.
No. Well, I mean, because when Putin finally decided, okay, we don't have to listen to that agreement anymore because it wasn't me. I didn't sign it. That was the last guy. And that's where their philosophy is if I didn't sign it, it don't matter. I do what I want anyways. And I think he's just looking for his last hoorah. I've got a bad feeling that he is sick, and who's going to take over after that?
It's always a crapshoot, man. You never know. It could be worse. Could be worse.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, right now, I think Russia's popping, apartment complexes and stuff like that into Ukraine, and Ukraine is just taking out ship after ship out in the ocean, sitting there in the Black Sea. And so they're not all the way into the Black Sea yet, but they're taking them out in that little sea there.
Yeah,
they're just taking them out.
Yeah, they've taken out a tremendous amount of the Black Sea fleet, like a third or something.
Right, and they're doing it all with drones.
Yeah.
And their drone boats are pretty good because they're just having trouble stopping these drone boats. But they're being polite. They're not going in and hitting anything real deep in Russia, which they can. They can go all the way to Moscow. And they're doing everything around it because they don't want to destroy the city. But they want to let them know we could if we wanted to. But yet Putin's going out there and saying, well, I'm going to because I have to. I'm blowing up your cities because I've got to take out your soldiers before they're born. Basically, that's what he's doing. I have no respect for Putin, and I'm getting a little bit of respect for the president of Ukraine because he's actually wearing a tie once in a while.
Yeah.
That made me mad.
Yeah, he's it's the one that Ukraine's done recently and sunk a lot of ships was Azov, or at least attacked them. Azov, like 10 in one day. And some of these are they're not military. Some of them, so there are a lot of them. They did the ferries that are shuttling people, and the tankers that are bringing gasoline and diesel, that kind of stuff.
Wait a minute, aren't you at a war?
Pardon?
Isn't that what we did? In World War II, was we took out the way Japan was feeding themselves and getting the raw materials to build things and taking out their fuel supply.
That's every war. Every war, they take out infrastructure and all that. And even Clinton and Obama and stuff, when they were bombing different countries, they took out electricity, bridges, all that stuff in order for them to, to where. And we are just now starting to do that in Iran.
Well, but see,
Trump avoided it. He
Clinton-
really wanted to have the diplomatic answer. He did.
Well, yeah, he liked it. But Clinton and Obama both were wimps because they wouldn't finish it. Trump's going to finish this one way or the other,
Well,
good, bad, or other.
They dropped a lot of bombs. Obama did. Obama was ruthless, but
Yeah, but
he didn't get a lot of
they're-
results
they're-
from it, other than
they-
Gaddafi was gone.
they changed the rules of engagement.
Yeah.
The rules of engagement are, well, it's like Vietnam. You can only hit here and here, and you can't cross this line. Well, how stupid were we?
That was this. He said that about Syria. If you use chemical weapons, that's a red line, and we'll come in. And they did it like right away. Killed a bunch of civilians with mustard gas or some kind of gas, and he did nothing. He did nothing. Yeah, that's not good. I think Trump's red lines are serious, although people have talked a lot about him changing his direction a lot, and he has. When they say they want to talk, he'll go talk. And when he adjusts basically on what the battlefield is today, he doesn't stick to one plan. If they change, he changes.
Well, it's like here's a saying that Trump kind of lives by now. He says, "You can't urinate up my backside and make me think it's warm rain."
Okay. I don't know what he said that, but okay. All right.
He said it in a different way than I said it, and I was being polite when I said it.
All right, you're paraphrasing. All right, good. All right, Andy.
Because he's there and he's doing what he said he's going to do, buddy.
I think he is. I appreciate the call, man. Take care. As Mr. Andy this morning. I'm already getting work texts this morning too. I can't believe that guys show up that early. I want to talk about dinosaurs for just a little bit, because this one's going on auction. You still got a chance on Sotheby's auction today, July 14th. That's today, isn't it? Let me verify. Yeah, July 14th. Gus is going to be up for sale. Gus is a T-Rex, and it's expected to possibly break records today. And so I looked at this article and got a little bit of a history on dinosaurs, but T-Rex, I guess, one of the first dinosaurs sold auction was Sue. Sue was a T-Rex. It was a groundbreaker in 1997. That's the first one. And it's now in the Museum of Chicago. And then in 24, there was the historic sale of Apex. Got $45 million. Set a world record for dinosaur fossil at an auction. And in 2025, the sale of juvenile Ceratosaurus for $30 million. So apparently there's money in dinosaurs. And now they're supposed to be doing Gus today. Gus is a more complete than these others, I guess. It's historic in how complete this dinosaur is as far as all the bones. A lot of the bones you see when you go to a museum, they had to make up all the bones that were missing somehow. There are probably some styrofoam bones in there because they don't get them in. Now, Gus, when they discovered Gus on a property, on a ranch, Thomas Heathcamp, he owned the land, went out to a Gary, no, he didn't own it. Gary Gus Licking, a cattle rancher in Harding, South Carolina. He was South Dakota. So they named the dinosaur Gus after him. 6,500 acre parcel. They had to go through it and find it, but he kept digging up bones. So they went and looked at it, and they found a single specimen. So I guess some of these dinosaurs you see probably have more than one specimen. They pieced the bones together. I don't know. It says offered, it's an incredible 183 fossilized bone elements. I'm sure some of them are fragments. 63% complete by bone count, representing 75 to 80% of the bone mass of the animal. So they're excited that Gus has been more together than all these other T-Rexes. It has a exceptionally preserved skull. 82% of the bones represented include all that. Gus is 38 feet in length, 54 inches in length. I mean, the skull length is 54 inches. One femur is 50 inches. It's an animal that was 12 and a half feet tall. It's one of the largest T-Rexes ever found. Now, in this article, they point out the first discovery of a Tyrannosaurus Rex. See, I thought that the Tyrannosaurus Rex was always known or something, like maybe, old, ancient people dug up bones, I would guess, or had to run into them occasionally. They're laying around, I think. The Tyrannosaurus Rex first discovered in 1992, or I'm sorry, 1902. So a little over 120 years ago, 124 years ago. That was in Montana. But there's only been 32 so far been discovered. I gotta make a text real quick. So that's not too many. That's not too many, but just interesting. So if you're interested, they think this thing is going to go between 20 and 30 million, but after reading that the last one went for 45 million, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be today. I'll let you know tomorrow how much Gus sold for. And I don't know if you believe you want a T-Rex or not, but they're for sale. Yellowstone bison. I don't know if you saw this picture the other day where a guy was over in Yellowstone and he got mixed up with a bison. I saw some of the reports on it. I didn't really see the picture, but the picture has him many feet in the air when the bison kind of like put his head down and flipped him up in the air, it looks like. And he's sailing like Superman, out of control. I got a story on him, and a lot of comments made afterwards, like he was provoking the bison. He's supposed to stay away and all that, but it may not be the case. Let's talk to Gilbert real quick. Good morning, Gilbert.
I was laughing. You and Andy were talking about our military here and there.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Roman legions. They were everywhere when they were in power. Correct?
Yeah. They ran. They ran things with the military. Ran things. That kept. Yeah. We don't really do that, but you're right. They had them everywhere, according to.
Don't we have troops everywhere? Don't we have troops everywhere?
Yeah, but we don't really tell the populace what to do and collect taxes like the Romans troops did.
Oh, no, but we're everywhere.
Yeah.
The reason I called you, Russ, is because this Saturday, the 21st, we have our Foothills Republican Cans, an all-conservative group. We are inviting everybody to come to our open mic. We have an open mic session this weekend. Let's get together. We want you to bring your thoughts on current events, political candidates, and the state of Arizona and the union.
Now, and that's going to be this Saturday, the 21st. Is that Saturday?
July 18th. Did I say the 21st?
You said the 20th. July 18th. Oh, July 18th. Yeah. Okay. Because you said Saturday, 18th. And I thought I'm not looking at the calendar, but I didn't think that was right.
Yeah.
Okay.
July 21st is primary.
And the time and place you'll be hiding, where are you at?
We're going to be at Izzy's on 11375 South Foothills Boulevard at Izzy's restaurant.
Okay.
We want everybody to come. You know what? Be conservative, be liberal, and we'll listen to what you have to say.
Yeah, it's always interesting. And what time, buddy? You doing this for breakfast?
Yes, we start at 8:00, but come early and buy breakfast.
Yeah,
they open at 7.
All right.
So we want you to come out. Let's make Arizona and let's make the USA great again. And you were talking about the stuff how we send money here and there, and we send money here and there.
Yeah.
But people, you got to realize those European communists are sending their money to us to influence our people.
Correct.
We have
They've sent a lot of money to the United States and to colleges and stuff but not for positive stuff. And look, a lot of the money the United States has sent over the years to US aid and all that, a lot of that was not positive. A lot of that was regime change and causing problems. I mean, I don't think we have the best track record on all that stuff.
No, we don't. Well, didn't we send money to get kids sex changes and study this and that?
Well,
there's a lot of studies that were it was all false.
Well, USAID went for a lot of very liberal crap about.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So we're not exactly holy on that. And then again, the reason that happened was because the people that were involved in USAID.
Well, that's why they canceled it. But when it started off, and I think it was Kennedy that started that, he was, wanting to do great things and help people. But then it quickly got infiltrated by, I don't know, CIA, FBI, I don't know. And they started using it as a spy network and slush funds. And as from what I understand, it got out of control. And then it was to promote liberal crap,
Well, wasn't Biden and Obama, they're the ones that really pushed this liberal crap.
Yeah.
I mean,
so we were exporting it. We were exporting transgender and gay stuff and, cartoon books of gays. It was just like, why are we, we're spending money? So I'm glad they got rid of that. I don't know if it's officially all dissolved, but there's still functions going on. The positive stuff is still going on within the State Department.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. But look at how we had to fight to keep that gay BS out of our schools.
We're not done.
Look how
we're not done.
Huh?
Oh,
we're not done.
No, there's people laying in wait. There's people that say, well, as soon as Trump's gone, we'll get this DEI rolling. So we're just going to call you something else right now. And then, but be ready so we can go back to men wearing dresses and going in the wrong bathrooms very shortly. So,
well, one of the big things right now, Russ, is reparations for our Black brothers and sisters. I mean, there are people really pushing that narrative right now.
There has been for a while. There has been, and it does seem to grow, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look at California. They got one senator that's really pushing it now.
But that's part of that whole chaos, Marxism, confusion, tribes against each other. Let's cause problems. I don't know. It's just crazy.
Again, and how much of that coming from outside monies and influence, and that's what it's all. There are people right now. They're protesting in front of a lot of Supreme Court judges. They're out there protesting.
That's illegal. That's illegal.
Yeah, but they're still doing it.
Well,
these people are getting paid to go out there and protest.
Some are, and it's always been illegal. And you remember it was during Biden, they were camping out in front of the judges' houses and stuff and protesting, keeping them up at night. That's blatantly illegal. There is a separation there between the powers, and that is not a political arm. That's a judicial arm. And,
exactly.
And we've even had Chucky go up on the steps and protest, and he's a leading, senator for the Democrats, but
right. Exactly. And the thing, they're getting away with it. As long as we have judges that allow them to get away with it, we're not going to get anywhere. We need to get rid of I hate to say that, but liberal judges have caused a lot of crime in America.
The laws have got to be enforced for them to mean anything. Gilbert, you're right.
Exactly.
Right. They need to be enforced.
So before I leave, again, Yuma City, Yuma County, come down to Izzy's. We have an open mic. Give us your thoughts. Give us your problems. Mm-hmm. We have, a lot of time to talk about current events, political candidates in the state of Arizona. Because if we don't take care of it, the conservatives don't get together and push this, the liberal narrative is going to take over Arizona. And we see it every day. Look at our own Galeo. Look at Galeo.
Look where we are right now with a terrible liberal governor and attorney general. Yeah. It's just sad. I just hate it. And
what I don't understand, all the charges they have against her,
Yeah.
some of the corruption she's involved in.
Oh,
Of course, she hasn't gone
overspent,
to
yeah,
court.
blowing budgets and stuff. Yeah, it's just terrible. But
And Arizona,
I know,
you know what I'm saying?
I know.
And hell, we're fighting amongst ourselves. The Republican Party is fighting amongst themselves right now. But I hope after the primary, we stand together as one.
I hope so, Gilbert.
Because I've always said your baseball glove is only as strong as your weakest thread.
But
And
we're supposed to stand together. We're supposed to accept the vote. But I know
Yeah,
the
but-
only reason Hobbs is in because we didn't accept it. There were so
Yeah.
many people that were mad at Kerry Lake that they
Yeah.
just let Hobbs walk in.
Well,
Which is terrible.
again, we had a lot of Democrats inside our Republican Party, you know, and I'm not just talking rhinos. I'm talking about straight out Democrats that pose themselves as Republican that push that narrative about Kerry Lake. And that's how.
Oh, yeah, Lake
Governor
caused some of
Lake.
her own problems. She didn't need to do
Yeah,
some of
yeah.
that stuff. But still,
Yeah, I
she
agree.
was the best candidate that we had. And people said, I don't care. And then, they're not thinking big. They're not thinking of the big picture. Think of the big picture.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was the best looking candidate in Levi. That's
Well,
a damn sure.
yeah, that's not the reason I would vote for her, but yeah, she was not a bad looking woman. Yes.
Yeah, that definitely got your attention. And I've met her numerous times and I liked her. But you know what? There's only one Trump. And when she started acting like Trump, it turned a lot of people off.
Yeah.
It did. It turned me off. But that was our best. That was our best to beat a Hobbs.
Yep.
And it didn't happen. And we had a lot of corruption there too. You know, they still haven't figured out those 20,000 votes out of Maricopa. And
30, I think.
Wow.
30, I think so. I don't know. It was a lot, but
Yeah.
but it's amazing how much went on that was wrong, and the left will say there was no widespread corruption. There was no widespread corruption, but nobody ever heard a case. You couldn't get a case, and everyone had no standing. Trump had 50 cases or something, and they were all thrown out for you don't have standing, which means nobody ever saw the evidence. No one.
And then because of the judges that we had in there.
Yeah.
That's the whole problem. You know, that's the whole problem. I always thought justice was blind. Right?
Supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Somebody took the blindfold off because.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly right.
Yeah. And we got a surprise Sunday morning at 2:00.
What was that?
Yeah. We had our roof on our RV blown off. It was lifted anyway.
Oh my gosh. Is everything all right?
Well, it's at the RV shop, getting doctored.
Wow.
So, yeah,
I've never heard of that before.
Oh, there was 3 other RVs with that same problem there from the wind.
Wow.
Over the weekend. Yeah.
Well, get that thing back on the road, Carla needs another road trip.
Oh, heck yeah. So do I.
Good thing we weren't on the road.
Good thing we weren't on the road, huh?
That's right. Yeah, you'd have to wear a hat if there's no roof. Absolutely.
Hey, I always think I'm on my bike, right?
Yeah.
No,
that's.
Yeah.
Don't you do that to her. All right.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
And I'm going to send you this flyer so you can talk about it during the week if you don't mind.
No, not a problem at all. Send it to me, man. All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Mr. Gilbert. I got a note from Elijah Norton's handlers. He's on the road right now. Elijah Norton's running for treasurer. He's on the road right now. He's still doing some windshield time, but he can call in at 8:00 of it. And I said, absolutely, call in at 8:00. So we're going to have Elijah on it at 8:00, who is running for the treasurer. Started talking about the Yellowstone bison attack. Which was a great picture. Someone got a great picture of this guy flying through the air. Looks like it could have killed him, actually. I mean, the bison's a big animal. And this thing flung him up in the air. And there was a photographer nearby, Mike McLeod. He was a photographer. He says, once I saw the victim in the air, I stopped filming. I ran with some other men to haze the bison away to render aid. Like, oh my gosh, to go and scare and draw attention away from the guy, so the bison comes after you. Very, I don't know, brave, I guess, brave, foolish. I don't know. Let's talk to Daniel. He's on the phone. Good morning, Daniel.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
We're doing well.
Good. What are you talking about?
Yellowstone bison that attacked that guy, threw him up in the air, man, hooked him with his horn and threw him up in the air like a rag doll.
Well,
It's
maybe
not
he
the way I want to
deserved
spend
it
an
for monkeying-
afternoon. Do what?
Yeah, well, maybe he deserved it for monkeying around with the bison.
Well, yeah. So he got what he deserved then, man. Yeah. No, he didn't.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. It's probably well posted.
That was
Keep
the
your-
news afterwards. There were a lot of people that were saying, well, you shouldn't get close and all that. And the people, the campground people always say 20, 25 yards away, I think. Is that what they say? Something like that.
I don't know what they say, but that sounds about right.
Yeah, 25 yards away. Well, that guy was actually not harassing the bison. So
what was he doing?
I guess he was nearby taking a picture of the bison, and the bison stood up, and he sensed that's uh-oh, and he grabbed his grandson. Him and his grandson ran behind some trees to get away from him, and the bison went after him. This guy stood between him and his grandson, I guess. Grandson
well,
got
you know
away
something,
unscathed, huh?
Yeah, I take back what I said that I didn't know he was an old guy with his grandson. I mean,
Yeah,
that
he
kind
was.
of-
He was there. He's a retired guy. He was taking pictures and all. But this bison had been reported of going after people the previous day. Apparently, it was kind of angry. It's mating season, and I guess the bulls become a little agitated and become very aggressive, higher testosterone levels, and there was a camp
Yeah, well-
that bison cleared out the day before, and these guys didn't know it. The guy named McDaniel, he didn't know. Just
Mhm.
came across it walking, but I guess when he saw the thing stand up, he sensed that's not good.
that's not normal.
I guess.
Yeah. No. Well, the bull doesn't want him monkeying around on his time, man.
I guess. I don't know. I stay away from them. I
Yeah.
mean, they're a big animal.
Well, hell yeah, any kind of wild animal. Common sense is get the hell away. Because
Yeah.
they're not tame. They're not
No,
domesticated.
but a lot of
They're
people go
wild.
there to take pictures. Now, I've driven through Yellowstone where the bison are on the road. And you drive
Well,
right by them. They're kind of blocking traffic. Or bears have been on the road, blocking traffic because people feed them out the
Well, they're not
windows.
supposed
Not a good idea.
No, not at all.
They'll rip your window
And you-
out to look for more.
Yeah. and not only that, how about? And I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but what about those animals that have diseases and stuff like that? All of a sudden, they bite you or scratch you.
Oh, you mean
Now
like
you're-
rabies or something? Yeah, you can get that.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, rabies.
Yeah. I understand the rabies shots are kind of painful. You don't want to do it. Yeah,
No,
try to
they're
stay
right in the
away.
stomach. I heard.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Yeah.
No, I heard it's like 10 shots in the stomach. Oh yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's not good at all, Russ.
Things
My
I'd
God.
rather do. But I'd still go to Yellowstone. I'd like to see a bison from a distance. Get a telephoto lens.
There you go.
Yeah.
You're one of your other attributes. You're a photographer.
Yeah.
Well, you can take photos for your book you're working on.
Not working on a book. I'm just working on breakfast sometimes, maybe lunch, but not books.
I guess that'll work. All right.
Yeah. Got to know your priorities.
Okay, buddy.
See you, buddy.
Yeah, I gotta go, buddy.
Take care, man. How's Daniel checking in? Which is nice. Well, I like this photographer, the one that put down the camera. How many times have you seen something that's atrocious and it's great? It's recorded well because the photographers all take pictures instead of helping somebody. This guy put down the camera. He got the picture of the guy flying through the air, put his camera down, and went and helped him. Now he ran over. He ran over to the guy. Well, first thing, this is Mike McLeod. He said, I really felt to me like the grandfather kind of saved his grandson, taking the brunt of the attack. I got to him right away. The first thing he asked is, How is my grandson? That's after he got thrown in the air like a rag doll. After the photographer and some other people ran over there to distract that huge animal to not gore him because he was afraid his guy was going to be gored. And gored's when they take the horn and pierce you in the, and it's not pretty. Yeah, um, usually, usually not a good medical outcome either. Apparently, McDaniel never lost consciousness, and he had multiple broken bones. Uh, the photographer, Mike Lloyd, said when the bison stood up, the grandfather decided to leave immediately, and the grandson followed. For some reason, the bison had it in his head he was going to attack those two, and that's the reporter's report. New reports also indicated that neither McDaniel nor his grandson did anything to provoke the animal. And the media out there, social media and regular media, were kind of chewing this guy up like, well, that's what you get, mess around, find out type stuff. And that wasn't the case. Photographer said, listen, even after a minute, I started filming, the bison charged a bunch of teenagers that were a safe distance. And the same photographer saw that bison, knew that bison was trouble. They were all young and nimble, and they scattered, but they started yelling, "Hey, everyone, watch out! There's a bison!" Uh, there were a lot of campers in the camp. McDaniel and his grandson later came upon the bison out for an evening walk, unaware it had already been aggressive. McLeod said the pair briefly stopped to take photos before the bison stood up. Bison briefly turned its attention towards the vehicle before charging towards McDaniel and the grandson. The grandson escaped, but the bison hooked McDaniel near his hip with one horn. It sounds painful. He was afraid he was going to be gored, of course, and injure so he put down the camera, run towards bison, yelling, waving his arms. Come for me. But the photographer never got hurt. McDaniel remains in good spirits while waiting help to arrive, stayed conscious. And his wife had been in touch with the victim's family. The photographer and his wife, they called the family and the victim, see how he's doing. And the grandfather just got out of surgery yesterday for a broken leg. He said the grandfather said he's very proud of his grandson, very thankful his grandson was not injured. Isn't that something? Guy worried about grandson, which is the right thing to do. The right thing to do. Yeah. If I was out with Grayson, now Grayson's 4, and he would be prone to maybe provoke somebody. Grayson's busy. Grayson would probably provoke the thing. I'd have to keep an eye on him to keep him out of trouble. Stephen Miller. I like Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller works in the White House. I don't know, like he's the number 2 guy or something in the White House. But he's one of the smartest and very, very passionate. And the left hate him. He's on a hate list from the left because he's a smart guy, talks facts, very forceful, knows what he's talking about, very direct. He's a great guy to have on your side. Trump had picked a good one there. He talked about Senator Lindsey Graham yesterday. And I never, I wouldn't have put those two in the same room together, Miller and Lindsey Graham, but somehow they were. Miller said Lindsey was of a mold that I don't think we're going to see for a very long time. He was someone who really understood how the power of rhetoric, how the power of communication as a senator can actually change outcomes. Lindsey really believed you could change people's minds through the force of persuasion and his rhetoric. Good observation. Doesn't surprise me. But he said, Lindsey, I miss you. Godspeed, and I'll see you on the other side. He said, Lindsey was the most effective, consistent advocate for the president's agenda in the Senate. That is a historical legacy that will always belong to him. Lindsey was just so fundamentally good to us, to all of us. Every time we needed something and anything at all, we called Lindsey without question, without hesitation. He would help out. I think it's important for people to see the fullness of the picture of Lindsey Graham, why people liked him as much as they did, because he was so generous in heart in spirit. I still honestly almost haven't, with the process that he's gone, because he was so complete and sudden. Now, on Monday, the South Carolina governor, Henry McMaster, he did appoint a replacement, Darlene Graham Nordon. That is Lindsay's sister. He adopted his sister. Yeah. Because when his parents died, his sister was kind of young, and I guess he was like 20 or something. And the only way to take, to make sure that he was the one that was going to take care of her, he had to adopt her. So he adopted her. That was his sister and his daughter, I guess. Not really, but adopted her to be able to take care of her. And he never married. The open seat already, no indication if Darlene is going to try to run to keep the seat. So I guess it's a foregone conclusion she's going to take it. I didn't see anything, but it's unclear if she'll continue to run for a 6-year full term. Nancy Mace, Republican, I like Nancy, and Ralph Norman, I don't know much about him, out of South Carolina, are both rumored to be looking at the seat. And that's the way it always starts. You start with the rumors because that doesn't cost you anything. Trial balloons, send them out there, see what people are saying. That's good. I got a couple stories on states. The great thing about it. One of the great things, many great things about our country. You can live in whatever state you want. The state has its own policies, its own direction, its own, constitution, state constitution. And a lot of them are run by Democrats, a lot of them are run by Republicans. And you get to choose and pick. You get to go wherever you think it is best for your family and best for our country and support the ideals of a state. And NBC has they've been mocked because they ranked the states. They went and ranked them like worst state and best states to live. The 10 worst states to live, according to CNBC, are all red. Every one of them are red. None of them were New York or California, or, in fact, they ranked very well. Illinois ranked very well, even though people are leaving so much that U-Haul charges a premium to get out of there. You want to U-Haul from either one of those states, get out of there, because they're moving to the states that are the worst states to live, according to CNBC. So to each his own, I guess it's subjective. The 10 worst states, according to CNBC, ranked from the bottom 10 states: Arkansas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Missouri, Utah, Georgia, Louisiana, Indiana, Texas, and Tennessee. All 10 states Republican-led. All 10 states voted for Donald Trump in 24. And CNBC is placing increased emphasis on quality of life. So the way you got to look at that is on the quality of life scale is, well, what quality of life is important to you? What are you putting on the scale? Is it affordability or that kind of stuff, or crime? Well, not so much. Their report states it is our annual ranking of every state's business climate now in its 20th year. Under this year's methodology, the category makes up 11.6% of states' overall score, up from about 10% last year. The score states for quality of life are, we use hard data on factors like crime rates, air quality, healthcare. We also consider the cost of availability of childcare, inclusiveness, childcare availability. I think availability everywhere. I mean, that's usually a private enterprise, but inclusiveness of state laws and reproductive rights, meaning abortion. The annual America's Top States for Business to determine its life, health, and inclusion. Inclusion. That's what they used to call DEI. Now we just call it inclusion. which means you hire based on categories other than you can do the job. America's top states for business studies determine its life, health, and inclusion category. The outlet utilizes criteria such as crime rates, air quality, healthcare, child care availability. The metrics also factor in heavily ideological policies, explicitly penalizing states for lack of protection against discrimination and restrictive abortion laws. Some states offer exemplary quality of life, but these 10 states do not make the grade, according to CNBC. And that's because they don't let boys in the girls' room. Well, they're getting condemned like crazy. They're considering this CNBC pure comedy. A conservative commentator, Reverend Jordan Wells, wrote, "Shocking. All deep-red conservative states, but somehow California and New York with the highest taxes in this country, insane cost of living, endless progressive policies, didn't crack the top 10." That's correct. Believe this, Tennessee is horrible. You definitely shouldn't move here. Conservative, you know, I guess that's a Newsmax contributor, Chris Clark. Of course, that's sarcasm, saying, don't move here, don't ruin it. Because Tennessee is one of the states that's getting huge influxes of people moving out of social disasters. Because Utah ranks 6th worst because of its minimum wage. They don't have a minimum wage in Utah, so the federal minimum wage, I guess, is $7.25. That's it. Low availability of child care providers and air quality. Air quality in Utah's bad? I don't know. Georgia, the 5th worst in the survey, especially called out for few protections for LGBTQ people. See, that's it. That's why those states didn't do well. You didn't take those liberal policies to heart. Of course, Gavin Newsom saw it right away, and he started flashing it around. He said, "Notice something in common? All led by Republicans, many suffering from California derangement syndrome." He is still selling that California is a model that the rest of the world should be copying, as people are fleeing like their hair's on fire. Representative Lance Gordon, Republican out of Texas, saw the thing. Says, if you hate not paying income taxes, law and order, parental rights, smaller government, schools choice, Second Amendment, and criminal illegal aliens being arrested, here's another garbage list from the mainstream media. Actually, I noticed nothing else. This list is BS. It's a list that has nothing to do with the quality of life for sane people. And that was from activist Robbie Starbuck, Tennessee resident. Media personality Patrick Bet David, I don't know who that is. Net migration of the states that CNBC criticized, people going to. Texas added 67,000 residents. Tennessee added 42,000 residents. Of course, Georgia, Alabama all had big influxes. The 10 worst states on CNBC had inclusively as one of the criteria noted. The numbers tell a different story. I mean, they're trying to fool all the people, but the people are following common sense in their eyes instead of what CNBC is trying to sell them. Trying to sell them that the worst states are the one that everybody's want to go to. I guess they're trying to stop the Democrat exodus from New York and all those other places. I don't think it's working for most people. Let me see. My fact checker sending me some news on some the numbers that just were released. The consumer price index fell a seasonally adjusted 0.4% for the month, bringing the annual inflation rate down to 3.5%. Wall Street had expected a 0.2% decline and 3.8% annual level. The monthly drop was the largest since April of 2020. Core inflation, which excludes food and energy, was flat on the month, putting the 12-month rate at 2.6%. The consensus forecast was for respective increases of 0.2% and 2.9%. The easing of prices came from a big decline in energy and an easing in service costs, particularly for housing. Wow, I can't believe it. Edward has sent me some good news. Yeah, that's good. The numbers are looking positive. Uh, I'll take all the good news I can. Of course, I still want the bad news as long as it's true. I don't care. We'll take it. We can take it. But that's good. That is good. We'll talk about Iran a little bit. It's been too long, but I understand it. But there was more major attacks last night. Now, something that's unique and happening a little bit differently with Iran. Trump is now attacking some infrastructure. Yeah, he's attacking water plants. He's attacking some production of energy, stuff he didn't want to do early on. But he's got to stop them from making weapons. He's got to stop them from repairing bombed out structures. As you know, some of the radar installations that were bombed out were rejuvenated, had to be knocked out again, and some of the drone capabilities, to which they bombed out the factories, they bombed out a lot of the sites, but some of it just the missiles were buried under the rubble, and they were able to rejuvenate some of it and fire off some of those, which annoys Trump, I think. And so now he's attacking more infrastructure. I don't know about bridges, and amazingly, Iran's neighbors have joined in on the fight quietly, but it looks like a lot of HARMOS missiles were fired out of Kuwait, fired out of United Arab Emirates, which they're close by. Those missiles have a range of like 350 miles, and so they were firing them. Arab Emirates was firing them, and so that's not good for Iran. These guys are fed up with it. They're tired of them just being the bullies, the bad boys, and at least the United States has some allies doing that. I mean, they had Israel. Israel has said they're not involved in this stuff right now. I mean, they got they're working on the other end of things with the Hezbollah, which is supported. It's one of the proxies for Iran. A lot of people are starting to complain about, it's taken too long for Trump. Trump says, we were in Vietnam 19 years. We were here 4 months. So I think we've done a lot. And he's talking to reporters. Months of U.S. strikes on Iran have become the new normal for America. When he was asked about that. Reporter says, is this the new normal? You're just going to keep attacking Iran? Which is an unfair framing. I think initially it was 10 days. And he backed off because they said they wanted to discuss, promote peace, come to some talks. He played the game, did the dance. I think he had to. I think it was the right thing to do, even though those pauses for months gave them time to rejuvenate some stuff, gave them time to do things we don't want them to do. I think he had to give them the benefit of the doubt. And then obviously Iran has no interest in this. And now they're not showing any signs of saying, let's go back to the table. They're showing signs of parading people through the streets with kill Trump signs. Which actually is a favor for Trump. It makes it easier for him on which direction to go. Trump said U.S. forces have knocked out Iran's Navy, Air Force missile capabilities, drone manufacturing, argued the strikes were necessary to prevent Tehran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, which I believe. He's gotten some bad press from some commentators that are normally supportive, saying that the Pentagon has not been truthful. The Pentagon has not been truthful. That Trump has not been truthful about the initial surging, knocked everything out. Well, if they knocked everything out, what else do you have left to attack? I understand the frustration. Well, they did say that early on. Knocked out the Navy, knocked out the Air Force, and yet we see airplanes flying for the funeral. There were some flying for the funeral. They were hiding somewhere. And they still have those small boats, some of them. even though they've knocked most of them out. So they took Trump literally that it was all gone, which it wasn't, and some of it was rejuvenated, some of it was put back. But I know early on, I mean, realistic things came out there that talked about percentages of capability, how much it was knocked down. So it wasn't completely eliminated. There, in fact, they said they were still dangerous, but instead of firing 60 missiles, they can fire 6. That doesn't mean it's not dangerous. That doesn't mean they can't hurt people. They can. But when Trump says he knocked him out, mostly, I think most people agree it's a devastating, but not 100%. Trump says if we didn't do it, we would have had a nuclear weapon. If they had a nuclear weapon, Israel would no longer be with us. The Middle East probably would no longer be with us. He said that we should be reimbursed, and he's been talking about this reimbursement, and he talked about it in Venezuela, like that was costly, and he's making sure he's taking enough oil to pay for it. I like it actually. I think we should have been doing those kinds of things all along, because nobody, I mean, even we're paying most of NATO and everything else to protect the world and stuff, protect the West, and yeah, he says, I want reimbursement. We're protecting a very rich portion of the world. And for decades, Iran's been dragging out negotiation for decades. It's 47 years. This has gone on for 47 years. The difference is nobody negotiated like I do. And this should have been done by Bush, Obama, Biden, and before them. All agree. All agree. But it wasn't. And it's because we have a president or an administration for 4 years. We have, the House runs every 2 years. Everybody's always in a campaign. And these things affect those campaigns negatively. They do. It's going to affect Trump negatively. And he's going into this thing knowing that the House and the Senate are, bad things could happen and they could be taken over by Democrats. And then we spend all our time impeaching the president instead of putting in policies that are going to move us forward. And that all exists. It all exists. He's going to do the right thing no matter what the cost, though. I respect it. I like it. In fact, it makes me like it more. It doesn't mean it's going to win him everything he should have. And we've got opportunities in the House and the Senate to keep it. We do. Slimmer in the House, but with all the gerrymandering that's been done, everything I've read is that it helped greatly. It did. And I think the left is hurting itself. And I know Mike called me a little while ago and said something about, the Republicans infighting, or maybe it was Carl or Andy. Yeah, there's always going to be differences. There's always going to be, Mike Pence saying that MAGA is no good, so I'll start my own little grouping to promote Republican ideals. That's gone on forever. It will go on forever, some of it. I think the left has got a lot more aggressive problems. They've got people that want to be communist in the the Democrat Socialist of America. If you read their platforms, what they stand for, it's like Karl Marx wrote it. It's scary. They want to do away with the entire Constitution. They want to trash the Constitution, literally. Take out the executive branch, take out the judicial, the Supreme Court, take out the Senate. Literally, just read it. They want one legislative body. One. It's too complex to have two because it's too hard to pass things rapidly. That was the point, I think. So we don't do fads. But and take away the executive branch. They don't like fighting the executive branch. They don't like it. They want to appoint an executive branch, like a prime minister or something. And then they answer to Congress. Congress controls them. It's just insane. It's more like Soviet Union type stuff. But that's sincerely their proposal. And they want to appoint the judges they like. Appoint the judges from Congress, Supreme Court. I guess No more lifetime membership because we want to control you, control the courts, control it, much like these banana republics and stuff, much like Venezuela, Cuba, all those guys. Just we own everything from one side. There's no check and balance. It would be Congress does it all. No check and balance. Amazing. Um, I talked a little bit about Iran nuclear, and one of the listeners, which I listened to, didn't Trump try the same negotiating deal with North Korea during his first term? They now have increased nuclear capabilities. The art of the deal in action. No, I don't think so. North Korea had nuclear before Trump was elected. It says now they have increased nuclear. I mean, he tried to work with him, no question. I think that's the right thing to do, but I don't think he bombed North Korea. I don't remember that. He tried to negotiate, tried to talk to him, but he didn't have a platform of control at all. And I don't know what the increased nuclear capabilities are, but they probably do. They their nuclear power. I don't know if that makes the people eat better and or that giving them anything extra for North Korea. I don't think so. But that's sarcastic. The Arctic the deal in action, like it's a failure. Um, well, I'll see. Same listener said U.S. Sea drones impressive system. Yeah, he sent me an article on it from the Hill, which the sea drones are doing a lot of the work right now, even in Iran. Sea drones. These are ships, small ones. I think they're not big, but there's apparently a lot of them, and with different capabilities and different stuff. Corsair, the military used 3 Corsair unmanned surface vessels to strike a ship maintenance facility and a submarine at Bandar Abbas Naval Base and the headquarters of the Iranian Navy. Yeah, there were some submarines there that I saw some pictures of them, and I think there were 3 of them. They were in port, and one was dry docked, I think, and these 24-foot boats come in with 1,000 pounds of payload, and these are one-way boats, just one way. Just go up and snuggle up next to them and then blow up. And they reach 35 knots, which is pretty fast on the water. And the and it points out in this article, it's the same type of vessel that picked up. You remember that crew from the Apache helicopter that got hit by a drone and went down in the water, and it took a while for them to get help. And when help came, it was in an unmanned boat. There wasn't a Walmart greeter in the boat. It was just unmanned. Yeah, how callous. Probably, Alexa or something, talking to him through a microphone, maybe. I would be very happy to see it regardless. We're proud that our technology supported the mission and helped brave men armed and safe. Sonic remains, and that's the company, I think, that makes these things. Committed to delivering autonomous maritime systems that strengthen the security of America and its allies. Yeah, it was. They said that on Monday. But yeah, I saw some pictures of those drone attacks on the shipyards. Just devastating. And I don't know that Iran sits around thinking what kind of capabilities the United States has now that we don't. But they're getting educated. They're figuring it out. U.S. Central Command said the military carried out a new wave of strikes against Iran on Monday. So yeah, it was this morning actually for us, but it says further degrade. It doesn't say wipe out, but further degrade ability to attack commercial shipping because that's happened just recently. There were 2 national tankers were targeted by 2 Iranian cruise missiles. and they were going through the strait. They were transitioning through the Strait of Hormuz on the Oman side, in their territorial waters, not in the international waters, not in Iranian waters. So they killed one crew member. The missiles did, injured 6 Indian nationals, 2 Ukrainian nationals. And I know the neighbors are upset. The Omanis and all of them. And they're all Muslim countries. It doesn't mean they all agree that we need to join the jihad and kill Israel and the great Satan, United States. But CENTCOM said during the 5-hour mission, U.S. forces successfully struck military targets across Iran, including Bashir. They list all of them. I'm not going to renounce them all, but to further degrade. CENTCOM forces employed precision munitions against Iranian coastal defense systems, missiles, and drone sites, and maritime capabilities. More than 50,000 U.S. service members remain deployed across Middle East. As the military says, American forces remain vigilant, lethal, and ready. And not all of that is on the carrier groups. I think that was like 15,000 troops on there, but some of them they're on bases that they're manned year round, not new. But it's carried out. One thing I haven't heard that since this whole thing has started back up is that there's any peace talks going on. I think Trump has left the door open if they want to. He's not that interested. And he said those guys can do it if they want to, but still's got to go by me. And he's pretty sure that it's not worthwhile, that Iran is not serious about it. They're gonna keep doing the shenanigans they're doing. I'm gonna take a quick break, and we will be right back. I'm out of coffee. And I'm back. I got coffee again. Phone lines are open. 928 941 0304. And that is my cell phone. It's the one we've been using since I've been at Mortgage One Studios. I don't know if I covered any of this yesterday, but I wanted to talk about it. Florida had a 13-year-old arrested. Not unusual. 13-year-olds get out of control. This was this 13-year-old put pictures of a gun, photos of a gun on social media along with death threats. So they got the county sheriff involved, Flagler County. They investigated the scene because the victim's mother, the one that the social media was directed to, called 911. Good for the mom. You have to be serious about it. I mean, especially if a 13-year-old has access to a firearm. It was a handgun. It showed the clips and everything of the handgun and in the picture, and then a death threat. The victim was also 13 years old and received several Instagram messages early in the day from the suspect, including the photo of the suspect holding a handgun. Written messages that read, and this is interesting because I don't know the shorthand that goes on in the social media. And I had a hard time reading it at first, that there's a translation. It's TN 8:00 p.m., which I got 8 p.m. We will be there. We ALR got LO. I didn't know what that means. It translates to tonight, 8 p.m. We will be there. We already got location. LO was location. I didn't know. It's good to know. I don't do a lot of shorthand Instagram. I don't know. The suspect told deputies that he and the victim used to be friends, but we had a falling out. And he stated that messaged the victim that day. They were planning to fight. So to him, it was a fight. Yeah, a fight with what looked to be a 9mm automatic. A 13-year-old. Something's definitely wrong. Deputies arrested the suspect, transported him to the Perry Hall inmate detention facility, later transferred to Florida Department of Juvenile Justice. The sheriff, Rick Staley, said threats are no joke, and we take every threat seriously, and they should. I mean, look what's happening in the country with the few juveniles that step out and do those kinds of things. And I would really want to know about what about the parents of this 13-year-old that was arrested with the photos of the gun and everything, where do these people come from, and who is educating and training these people? He says, I want to remind parents to stay engaged in what their kids are doing online and who they're talking to. Teach them proper ways of handling disagreements and to be the sheriff of your home. Be the sheriff of your home. Great message. My grandchild, my granddaughter is 9. I can't, no, she doesn't associate with anybody I think that would be doing this, let alone. And, she went with me and Helen this weekend, of course, to Church for the City Fun Day and all that, to meet other kids too, and of course some nice families. I get to talk to parents and other kids. This would not happen because there's a lot of engaged parental people, grandparents, parents, all that kind of stuff, and it's at church. But they still had fun. No one had to shoot anybody, but they had fun. This article goes through a list of some similar atrocious things of young kids. A 12-year-old in May, a girl threatening to shoot up elementary school, threatening teacher. 11-year-old boy arrested in March, making death threats, charged with the crime in October. March, another one. Arrested a 10-year-old boy and perp walked him on camera after officials said he threatened to bring a gun to his elementary school and left a kill list in his classroom. 10 years old. Again, the interesting would be an article written about the parents. I'm assuming that there's something broke down in that family. February, Volusia County, officers arrested a 12-year-old girl. She posted online a detailed manifesto about carrying out a mass shooting at a middle school due to bullying. Also in February, a pair of 15-year-olds arrested after being accused of threatening to shoot up high schools. October, an 11-year-old arrested after writing a kill list on her desk. Just 2 weeks later, an 11-year-old boy from the same school was arrested after allegedly creating his kill list at school. October, Florida sheriffs came under fire for posting a 9-year-old male's mug shot on Facebook. Felony arrest for allegedly bringing a knife to his elementary school. Yeah, I don't know that I'd want to put the face of a 9-year-old out there. I don't know. Is that legal? Is it, I mean, it's a felony. Is that still a juvenile? Is that a juvenile felony? He brought a knife. It doesn't say he threatened anybody, but maybe he did. I used to take a knife to school. I mean, after the Boy Scouts gave me a sign off on it that I demonstrated proper handling. Just a week prior, same sheriff said a 10-year-old was arrested and charged with aggravated assault, deadly weapon without deadly weapon without intent to kill, third-degree felony, after bringing a pocket knife to school and threatening another student. You know, you think, well, it's just a pocket knife. And gosh, we used to think that, didn't we? It was a pocket knife. It's a tool. When I was a Boy Scout, it was a tool. We never called it a weapon. But you know, as we just saw recently, where a young man, and I think this was high school age, stabbed a guy in the heart in the grandstand seating of a sports game. Killed him, and it became a race thing. I don't see race in this. I mean, this is crazy. Uh, uh, the young man with the knife was a black man, stabbed a white man, and somehow that's going to bring up a race thing all of a sudden. To me, it's a murder. I don't know. It's not a racial murder, but we've gone that way, you know, making it a hate crime or something. But here's the deal: the people in his community that are of color, I think he should. You know, he was a victim. The guy that did the stabbing he was surrounded. He was cornered. He was the only black man in that grouping and all that stuff. And all the video showed exactly not true. In fact, exactly not true. He was the perpetrator, and he stabbed and ran. And yet we turn it into a race thing. Again, it's just that terrible bit of tribalism. That's our tribe, so we stand by people no matter what. Behavior doesn't matter. He's part of our tribe. We're going to stand with him. It's just horrible, and gets worse, I think. A Texas bakery that I wanted to mention. You know the stories about the bakeries of the Christian bakeries that someone will go in there and say, look, I want these non-Christian slogans, you know, supporting gays or satanic, whatever it is. I want you to make a cake and then tell me, you know, glory to Satan or we love gays or something. And it's happened a few times. And I know once in Colorado, and Colorado was a big one. And the bakery said, we're not interested, but we know some other bakeries in town that would be able to do it. But because of our, you know, our feelings that we don't support. Well, they got sued, you know, my world's coming to an end because I'm gay or something, and this bakery won't make me a cake that I want. And the bakery lost and then won later and all that kind of stuff. Because I mean, they truly were a Christian bakery, Christian based bakery, and they were respectful and all that, but it didn't matter. You're gonna the state's gonna force you, or at least that was the initial part. The state was gonna force you to do things that were against you, even though there were alternatives. It wasn't like it was a monopoly. It wasn't like it was the cable company and the only cable company in town, and you can't get cable or something like that. It was a bakery, well, cake, and there were other people willing to do it. They didn't want it. They wanted it from that Christian bakery. That's probably why they lost. Christian bakery prevailed in those things eventually. It takes time and money and pain. It's painful to go through that, I would imagine, not knowing how the outcome's going to be and all that stuff. Well, this is a bakery story again in Texas, but it's not a Christian bakery. No, this is the opposite of that. This is an aggressive bakery that hates Donald Trump, hates MAGA, hates him, and that's self-described. I'm not labeling. And I think it was interesting because they wanted to cause controversy from the sound of this. Haley Pop is the owner, and he used Facebook, and it's the Hive Bakery in Flower Mound. And he puts political stuff out there, apparently. And he wrote, "We express not wanting to celebrate the 4th this year as we're embarrassed, afraid, and disappointed in what this country has become. MAGA is adversarial. It's a cult of unintelligent, rabid, immoral psychopaths. These conservatives who still have rational thought have left the MAGA movement. Those who remain and continue to support the most corrupt administration in our nation's history are here wishing for our bakery to burn to the ground." I'm not wishing for it to burn to the ground, Haley. I wish you well. And I know that's something that Mike and I would disagree with. Mike wants it to, he's not kind to people like you. And you're not looking for kindness, Haley. I got to agree with Mike on that. You're not looking for kindness. He says, "Enjoy a little taste of this Americana. We are open tomorrow from 10 to 6, and we refuse to observe this holiday. F this fascist regime and every single person perpetuating the downfall to the downfall of our country, still holding out hope for an AOC revolution." Ocasio-Cortez, he's pushing for Ocasio to run the world. Now that post went popular, not because Haley Pop is popular. No. It wasn't that. Libs of TikTok put it out there. Now, see, and I would ask Mike what he thinks of Libs of TikTok. Libs of TikTok goes out and screens social media and looking for guys like Haley Pop that's just off the charts ridiculous, with his hatred and with his idea of what America is and isn't, and that conservatism is ruining. Good business is ruining America, according to Haley Pop. Conservative values are ruining, according to Haley Pop. Lack of crime is ruining America, according to Haley Pop. Well, Haley Pop, it says a lady. She, or at least identifies as one. She has since claimed that the anger and hatred to a response from the liberals. I started to say Libs of TikTok put it out. That's why it became very well known, because Libs of TikTok said. And she claimed that the anger and hatred towards a response from liberals who brought her T-shirts. And that's Haley Pop. They brought me T-shirts and ordered woke baked goods. Woke baked goods. That's what she makes. She makes woke ones to show their support for her and her opposition to Trump. Well, come to find out, this isn't the first mix-up that Haley Pop has had. She's had others. I'll get to them and why she does this, I think. Let me talk to Carl Fraser first. Carl, good to hear from you, man. Good morning.
Hey, how are you today?
Doing well.
I've been out fixing my campaign sign this morning.
Yeah, we had some wind. That always happens, wind.
Well, I picked up the wrong roll of wire down at the Home Depot, and I got that wire that unwinds itself. So
Oh, no.
Yeah. I did that a couple of years. I've had that happen to me. I get the wrong damn roll of wire.
Oh,
So,
really? Yeah, that's not good.
yeah. So I try and find the wire that doesn't unroll it.
Yeah, the cheap stuff.
Wind it.
It works
Yeah,
well.
the cheap shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try Harbor Freight's wire.
Well,
But
and
anyway,
you get the wire for the rebar though. The rebar wire that usually doesn't unwind. I've never had it unwind.
well, from now on, I'm gonna have you buy my wire.
No. Well, maybe.
You get that stuff that doesn't unwind.
All right.
But my 2 cents for the day, the Democrats right now are proving there's no cure for stupid. Because to me, as I am a really heavy, hardcore MAGA person, but to me, what MAGA really means is we run the country by the Constitution, not Sal Alinsky's rules for radicals.
That is the methodology. You're correct. It's constitutional.
Yeah. So, and anyway, on Thursday, our Colorado River Tea Party, we're going to have our great Mayor Nichols down there talking to us. He's going to be our guest speaker. So that's down on just on this side of Highway 95 at the Community Christian Church, and the meeting starts at 6 o'clock. So.
Yeah, Mayor Nichols, as it's been wonderful to have him as a mayor. I mean, it's been great. He listens, he pays attention, and he gets the right publicity and stuff. He gets the right help for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he is a we the people mayor. He's looking out for us.
I was surprised he ran again. You know, first he says he was going to do one term, see what happens, and he wouldn't give an answer on his second term for quite a while, which was very great that he ran again, and now staying in. That's we're very thankful for that, and hopefully we all get out and support him.
Well, we better, because the guy running against him, he doesn't really impress me too much. So,
well,
but anyway.
well, he impresses me in that he's aggressive. Carlos has been out there. He spent a ton of money on signage. He's spending a ton of money, and he's a write-in candidate. He's not even on the ballot. Yeah. He's a write-in, but I don't know where he lives exactly, but all his businesses are all in Mexico. He just recently opened up a storefront to sell boxing equipment in Yuma, but that was recent. He just recently registered to vote this year, once he found out that you had to register to vote to run for office. I don't really know what direction he wants to go, and he's just been talking smack about Doug, how he's doing everything wrong, and I don't think he's well informed. I don't think he really understands what it is to be a mayor.
Well, if the people in Yuma vote him in as mayor, Yuma is going to go downhill.
I think we'll have a Mandani Jr.
That's the one.
You know,
I didn't think
because we don't really know what he stands for and what he does. We don't really know.
No.
Just like Mandani, I mean, he didn't come forward when he ran. He just talked about, we want to make this cheaper. We want to make this cheaper. We want to open up a grocery store. You know, stupid little things. And they elected him with a low turnout, and they're going to pay a price big. It's not all figured out yet how big that price is, but it keeps getting worse. I think he's along those lines of a guy. It's hard to say. I spent 2 hours with him talking to him, but I never really understood why he's running. And I asked him to come on the air and talk to me on air. He won't do it.
That'll tell you something right there. So,
yeah.
But we just only have a few more days left for people to get up off their dust and go vote.
That's right.
So,
yeah, it's important to get out there and do that, and we'll see. We'll see what happens.
It's very, very important. So anyway, I'm gonna fix my breakfast now that I got all my signs put back up. So anyway, you have a good day, Russ.
You too, sir. Take care, man. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was Mr. Carl calling in. Now it's 7:53. I'm going to have Elijah call in here very shortly. Elijah Norton. He's a businessman that is running for treasurer, and he's an impressive guy. I've talked to him before. I've talked to him not on air. I've never interviewed him, but I've never talked to him on air. But he'll be calling in within the next 7 minutes or so. He's traveling out there. This Hive Bakery and Flour Mound, whatever that is. I'm not going to get to finish this because I'm going to talk to Mad Mike first. Mad Mike, good morning.
I thought I'd try and get in real quick before your guest. I assumed it was the top of the hour, but
Yes, it is.
I'll be okay. Cool. So I think I need to give up my moniker of Mad Mike, switch it over to just Crazy Mike, and give Mike. Everybody's talking about Mike, the
other
moniker
Mike.
of Mad Mike.
He does have a little bit of an anger projected there, but yeah, he's mad about some things. But yeah, but you can go by Mad Mike. We understand the difference.
Mad as in loco, Mike.
Yeah, loco.
But you know, I'm in and out of the car all morning. Your 3 hours that you're on, so he only called in once so far today, right?
Yes. Yesterday, I think it was 3 times, but that's all right. I
yeah, no. I'm just wondering if I missed something else.
No.
But from his conversation this morning, he sure doesn't like Glenn Beck. Is not much impressed with Hannity or Bongino, I guess, or others. Right. It sounds like those are the 3 that were on your radio station.
He tends to have a short list of likes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was pretty strong against Glenn, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have been listening to Glenn probably since I first moved to Yuma and started commuting out to YPG.
Yeah.
So it's been like 17 years ago. I haven't even worked there for almost 10 years, but that's when I started listening to you and to Glenn. He was on for a while in the morning and you came on and he's on the afternoon. But I got to tell you, I have gone through periods where I get I get excited and I'm interested in one talk show more than the others.
Sure.
I get quite a variety. For quite a while there, I was big Clay. Buck Sexton. He's now with Clay. I was a real Buck Sexton fan and enjoyed him. And now one of my favorites is Jesse Kelly, which he's on air, but not here in Yuma. And so I just listened to his podcast. But of all of them, and I used to be really into Sean, but all of them have disappointed me over the years.
Yeah.
And right now, the only 2 podcasts that I listen to regularly are Glenn Beck and Jesse Kelly. And the only radio, quote unquote, or live streamer I listen to is you. And you have never, that I can recall, disappointed me or let me down. I still am enjoying what you have to offer and our conversations. We've even developed a bit of a friendship, in my opinion. But I appreciate what you bring to us listeners throughout Yuma, and hope to get you back on the air soon.
It's me too, man. It should be September I would think, maybe mid-August.
Cool.
But that's it. But thank you. And
speaking of September, remember when we used to go back after summer vacation after a Memorial or a Labor Day weekend, the first Tuesday in September?
Yeah.
My daughter has to go on August 3rd.
I know.
She starts school on August freaking 3rd.
It seems so weird, right? It does.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, here in this godforsaken desert, I'm glad she's going to be into air conditioning and whatnot. But and she's already kind of bored. We made our one trip and we've done a couple activities with one of her friends who lives close by. But it just seems like, wow, not much of a summer. Of course, when you and I were growing up, we were outside on our bikes, climbing trees and
causing
all
trouble.
kinds of fun.
Have to come home when the street lights came on,
Yeah, there was always a little bit of that.
Hey
So
man, I'm running
anyways,
running out of time, and I
not a
appreciate the
problem.
call.
I wanted to counter Mike.
Thank you, Mad
Give
Mike.
him Mad Mike.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, that was the not so mad Mike. Call him that. Not so mad Mike. And he's, don't get me wrong, he's opinionated. He'll tell you what he thinks. You know, make any bones about it. This flower flower shop. It's called the Flower Mound, Hive Bakery Flower Mound. Apparently, they like the controversy because, just like they stated, when he got on Libs of Lick, or she got on Libs of TikTok, TikTok, the business went crazy. They started selling all their woke stuff because the woke people came in to support them. Well, apparently that happened in 22 and in 25 when she starts putting out a big open support for LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, women's rights, all those kind of things, and local TV reported or something. Well, she makes great profit then. People come in droves. It's something to think about. I had no idea that they was getting free marketing. And that's every time she riles up the Republicans, she gets free marketing. So she's probably disappointed when she puts crap out there and it's not responded to by the libs of TikTok and all that. She probably gets disappointed, like, you're hurting my marketing. You're not coming after me like you're supposed to. So, but I still think libs of TikTok needs to do it. I mean, we need to understand how people think. We can't correct problems that we don't know anything about, and we need to know. I'm assuming this is my phone call from Elijah. We'll take that. Good morning. Is this Elijah Norton?
Yes, it is.
Good morning, sir. Good to have you on. Appreciate
Good
it.
morning.
I understand you were in Yuma yesterday. My wife was over there to say hello.
Yes, I was. I was at the Yuma County Republican office and had a great time talking to a good group of patriots just about the election and why I believe I'm the most qualified for the job.
Well, and that's the first question is why would you want to do this to yourself? Now, Elijah, everything I've read, very successful. Everything you've done has proven to be successful. You've got enough of a slush fund to invest and live happily ever after without going through the pain of being a politician. Have you lost your mind?
No, I haven't lost my mind. Although sometimes, you wonder with how crazy the political environment can be. But look, this country's worth it. One of the things that I've noticed is there's a lot of people in office who are doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it for themselves. They're doing it because they want to get a promotion. They're doing it because they want, believe it or not, some people actually want the salary that they get if they get elected, or they want, whatever other things they want. But for me, I'm doing this because I want to give back to my community. I started a business when I was just 21 years old. Today, my company generates over $500 million a year in revenue. I'm 36. And the type of success that I've been able to achieve, as in 15 years, from a 21-year-old kid to a 36-year-old man, I know would not be possible anywhere other than the United States. My company does business all over the world. We do business in the United States, Canada, Chile, the European Union, and South Africa. So I'm very familiar with how other countries' political and business and regulatory climates work, and I can just say unequivocally that I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't live here in the United States. So for me, I'm proud of being a U.S. citizen. I'm proud of being born here. I'm proud of my country, and I want to give back. And I think we need more people in office that give back, and that's the only way we're going to save our country.
Now, you're not new to being active in the Republican Party. I know you've been around for a while, and you've been working with them, and you've been a big benefactor to the Republicans, has supported Republicans, has supported the party, and all of that all along. Did you always have in mind that you someday wanted to run?
Well, it's not always been something that's been at the forefront of my mind, but I can say that, I started getting involved in 2020. Obviously COVID, I've been a Republican since I was early college. I started right when I was starting my business. I was having to go through all the motions of the regulatory filings and all the different things. You realize real quick that low taxes and limited government is the answer. And I became a Republican. And when I was in college, I was the only Republican in the room. A lot of times, my professors were always Democrats. And I spent my 20s essentially really focusing on my business, growing my business, building my business, making it profitable and successful. Obviously voting Republican along the way. But my involvement was really limited to just, getting angry at the TV when I would hear a Democrat do something stupid, or it wasn't, I didn't actually do, getting involved. I got involved during COVID because I saw how quickly we could lose our country if we had the wrong people in office. And so I started donating to Republicans in 2020. And I have been active ever since. In 2022, I ran for office, Congress in the 1st Congressional District, unsuccessfully, but I learned a lot along the way. And in 2023, or late after I was not successful in that race, at the end of 2022, and in 2022, I had donated, I don't know, probably $300,000 or $400,000, maybe even more, to Republican candidates across the state to help save our legislature and just make sure that we kept our state red. I was encouraged by multiple people to run to be the Arizona Republican Party treasurer. In 2022, I'm sure many listeners might remember, there was a scandal with the prior AZ GOP administration. There was a $500,000 party, election night party, and an election bus. And a lot of people said that had the party invested those resources in, for example, the Attorney General's race, we'd have an Attorney General Hamaday, not an Attorney General Mays.
Right.
And there was, so I ran against Pam Kirby, who was the former executive director of the party under Kelly Ward, the prior chair. And so she was a known commodity in Arizona politics. And I was very critical of her. I said that she her and Kelly were responsible for misspending party resources. And I promised that I would do an audit of the state party. And I ran on that platform, and I beat her 85% of the vote. I got more votes that year than anyone. And I was elected the AZ GOP treasurer. And when I got elected, that was a pretty difficult task because, we're coming into a party in an off year. There's a lot of donors across the state, even large Republican organizations, that did not trust the party because of what had happened in the past.
Right.
And so, I had to work with, the chairs. We had two chairs, obviously, in my term, obviously, because in the end of beginning of 2024, Chairman DeWitt had to resign because of that tape with Carrie Lake. And that was a very tumultuous time. But, I helped guide the party through that fiasco. I helped make sure that the party was financially stable. The first year, we did not receive a lot of donations because, again, there was not a lot of trust. So I had to help donate myself to the party to make sure it was stabilized. And then in 2024, with the new chair, we worked together to continue that financial stability and restore trust. And we had an amazing year. President Trump carried Arizona by more votes than any swing state in the U.S. Yep. When pundits said we were going to lose our state legislature, we not only picked up 2 seats, we not only gained seats, and they were totally wrong. We gained 2 seats in the state House and 1 seat in the state Senate, and we kept Congressman Schweikert and Congressman Ciscomani, the 2 swing congressional district representatives, in their seats, and expanded their win majorities from what they had in 2022. So we had a really good record, and a lot of that, obviously there were a lot of organizations across the state that were part of, responsible. We have, Turning Point, you have Easy AZ, there's, Free Enterprise Club, but all those organizations have endorsed me. But the party, having a party that actually helped get candidates elected and didn't hurt, was a huge part of the success. And especially in the legislature, One of the things that we did that I was very instrumental in was the coordinated mail campaign. Most people don't know this, but state parties are one of the only legal entities in the state that can coordinate with a candidate in a general election. And so the party gets about a 40% discount on mail. So we went to legislative leadership, we went to multiple state legislatures, and we basically said, participate in this. And what they would do is they would donate money to the state party. We would then turn around and spend that money, and allocate that money to their campaign, and then they would get a 40% discount on the mail that the party funds were allocated. So that was a key reason that we won some of these very tight legislative races like LD2 and LD4. And that's why I think we saw such good success. And that's also why I've been endorsed by the President of the Senate, leadership in the state House, and 20 current or former members of our state legislature, because it was a lot of work. We had to keep track of essentially 30 different campaigns. And we did it at a it happened at the very last minute. But I think it was very key in making sure we kept our legislature red.
Why do you feel the best place for you is in the Treasury? Why do you want to be in the Treasury?
Well, I think if I want to give back, this is really my wheelhouse. I think it's really important that people run for office that they are qualified and that they are experts in. My company is a global insurance company. We offer F&I insurance products. We also offer commercial reinsurance brokerage, MGA underwriting. And something that's very unique about my business is we're an insurance carrier, so we actually have to hold and maintain claims reserves. And I have to invest those claims reserves in what are called NAIC investment guidelines. They're actually more conservative than what the state treasurer has to follow. And I have over $100 million of claims reserves that I'm responsible. And that's money that's, it's not my money, it's my policyholders' money that I'm holding in a fiduciary capacity. And then I'm making sure that I'm investing it in safe, stable assets at the same time getting a good return. So I'm the only candidate in this race on the Republican side that has actual experience in investing money at a large level. And I can't think of any bigger risk than electing someone with no investment or finance or real business background to manage $32 billion. That's the amount of assets we have under management in our state's portfolio. And we need someone in the treasurer's office who can actually do the job on day one, who understands how to invest money, understands what is needed to make sure that we're keeping our safety, we're keeping our assets in a safe asset mix. We're prioritizing that over liquidity, and liquidity is being prioritized over yield. But at the same time, we're getting a good return. And so when I was the first person to get in this race on both sides of the aisle. And when I first got in the race, I did an analysis of our current investment performance. And one of the things that was pretty concerning to me is 22 billion of our $32 billion, we're getting about 3.7% return, 3.6% rather. And that, I've gone around and I've kind of done a little bit of a brush fire poll. I've asked probably now over 1,000 people as I've traveled the state, including yesterday when I was here in Yuma. And I asked them and I said, who in here thinks it's a good return? And I never have had any. I've had two people raise my hands. One was the current treasurer of Mojave County, who's on the board of investment, and she's partially responsible for that return. And the other was someone who didn't know anything about investments. And afterwards, the lady, I think, admitted that wasn't a good return. So, if you look at other states like Texas, for example, which is very conservative state, they've had a conservative controller, which is the equivalent of treasurer there for many years. They're getting about 0.5% more than we are. And they're not taking any additional risk. They've done a better job negotiating with the funds and the money markets and the different places that they're invested in. And they're getting a better return. And that's a lot of money. I mean, if you're talking 0.5%, that's over $100 million a year into the state.
Yeah, it is. What limitations are there investments? I mean, 3.6% wouldn't be great if you were a broker out there doing stuff, but there's got to be limitations on the what you're allowed to invest in, isn't there?
Yes, there are. So in the two funds that constitute the 22 billion that I'm talking about is what are called the state agency investment pools. That's the kind of the operating cash that our state agencies use to fund the operations of our state government. Mm-hmm. And there's what's called the local government investment pool, which is where cities, counties, and towns have the option to invest with the state. And so those funds are generally restricted to very conservative assets, commercial paper, bonds, money markets, treasuries, very, very conservative asset mixes. But even with a conservative asset mix limitation, I'll give you an example. My company, we have over $10 million in a liquid money market account with a bank here in Arizona. So it's a larger bank, and we're making over 4%. And it's a liquid money market, meaning that I can have unlimited withdrawals. There's no restrictions on how many times I can take money out of the account. And so we're getting, already over, 0.4% more than the treasurer's office. So it doesn't require taking additional risk just to get, a little bit of a better return. When you're talking even about conservative assets, it's really about negotiation. I mean, with me, I had to go to the bank and threaten to pull my money out and say, look, you're going to give me a better return, or I'm going to, I'm going to move my money. And they did. When you have a lot of money in a bank, banks write loans off of deposits. You have power to get better deals. And so for me, it's just getting someone in the office that knows how to get a better deal. And I do that. I've done that in the business sector, and I want to take that experience and apply it to the state. There's another fund that we have too. It's called the Permanent Land Endowment Trust Fund, or PLETF. It's about $10 billion of the $32 billion. That one is actually getting a pretty good return for the restrictions that it has. It's getting about, I think it's high 8s or low 9s. And that we've been getting a good return for only about 2 years. Actually, if you go back to 2022, 2023, one of those years we actually lost 7% in the Permanent Land Endowment Trust Fund. But that, I'm actually quite satisfied with the return with that fund, because I don't want to change the asset mix allocation. There's about 60% of that fund has to be in the statutory, has to be in equities, and 40% is in bonds. And so, I don't want to change that. The Democrat in the race actually wants to change it to 80% in equities and 20% in bonds, which I think would be very dangerous. But we can get a better return, again, by just electing the person with the right skill set to do the job.
Now, how much freedom do you have to move money around? Is that something you have to go through the legislature for, or do you have a commission of some kind?
So on the state agency investment pool and the local agency investment pool, which is again that $22 billion and the $32 billion, the treasurer's got pretty unilateral authority. There's obviously statutory guidelines and investment guidelines that they have to follow. The treasurer has pretty good latitude to do what they want within the investment policy and within the guidelines of the statutes. When you get into the Permanent Land Endowment Trust Fund, there's what's called a board of investment that actually regulates, how that money is invested.
Uh-huh.
And the board of investment constitutes 5 members. The treasurer is the chair by default. The treasurer gets to appoint 2 members. And then the Department of Insurance and Financial Institutions director sits on that board, and the Department of Administration director sits on that board. So it's a 5-member board, and they're the ones that make those investment decisions. And they also have input on how the overall entire portfolio is invested. But the treasurer, 3 of the 5 votes, so to speak, are under the influence of the treasurer. So by all accounts, the treasurer does have a substantial amount of influence on how investment policy for that Permanent Land Endowment Trust Fund is set.
Good. And you think that the 3 we could get 4% instead of 3.6?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I don't think that I know it. I mean, if you look at other states, we see that.
Okay.
Again, Texas has very similar investment guidelines, and they're getting a better return than we are.
We need more money because the legislature loves to spend money, and if they see you have more, they'll spend more. You know that.
Well, my hope is they don't. my hope is they cut our taxes. Or
Yeah. Wow.
There was actually one legislator that talked about giving. I guess there was one year, maybe 10 years ago. We had a surplus, and they actually gave some of the money back to the people. But for me, it's one of the things I'm also going to do. The treasurer doesn't have the ability to vote on legislation, but the treasurer does have the ability to be a financial North Star for members of the legislature.
Oh, you can lobby, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You can lobby for good bills Our current treasurer has lobbied for and against certain bills. I know there was one that was going to actually allow the treasurer to have some audit oversight over transactions that were bad, and she killed it. She was very, very vociferously against it. But for me, I want to lobby for good financial policy. And if there is a bill that is a bad bill, I'm going to be the number one person out there on the not only behind the scenes working with members of the legislature and lobbying against it, but also in the front of I'm going to be in the front of it. I'm going to say, look, this is a bad bill. I don't support it. And when the treasurer comes out and says, I don't support a financial bill, that's a pretty big piece of consideration that legislators have to look at. And the other thing that's unique about me is, because of the, amount of times I've helped save our legislature, and I've when I was the party treasurer, I had to work with a lot of members of the legislature. I've established some really, really great relationships with people across the state legislature, and they respect my opinion on bills. In fact, there was an insurance commissioner. This is actually something I'm very proud of. Katie Hobbs nominated this insurance commissioner named Barbara Richardson. She was the Nevada insurance commissioner under Steve Sisolak. And when he lost, she slivered down to Arizona. She was a far left Democrat. She wanted to implement race-based premiums in our state. She sat on this committee that literally advocated for race-based insurance pricing, which is crazy. Licensing times for insurance agencies, I'm not talking about big companies, I'm talking about agencies, had doubled under her leadership. The department had become a disaster. She was using her office to create laws without any type of oversight, which is illegal in Arizona. And she actually had messed with my company, or tried unsuccessfully to mess with my company in Nevada. And so when she came down here, I organized, I worked behind the scenes and talked to legislators about how bad she was. In her committee hearing at the Dino committee, I brought 20 people to testify against her. I had, I think, 4 or 5 business people, and then I had a bunch of community leaders come over and testify against her. And she was actually going to get confirmed, but because we had so many people show up, and because I gave such powerful testimony, she was rejected in the committee hearing. And Katie Hobbs was so mad that she wrote a letter to the president of the Senate demanding all communications with me personally, including video of me in the hallway, which is kind of an odd request. The Senate president obviously didn't comply, and there's nothing to worry about, but it's just, why would you? The legislative immunity is ridiculous. She then decides to, after she gets rejected, Katie Hobbs decides that she doesn't want to get rid of her, so they have to go to a Senate floor vote. And there was a couple senators that didn't know if they wanted to reject her, and I had to work behind the scenes to convince them of how bad she was. But eventually, she was fired by the state Senate. She became the first insurance commissioner in 100 years in the entire United States to have ever been fired by a state legislature. And it was a pretty big win for Republicans and a pretty big defeat for Katie Hobbs. Good. So
thank you.
I already have experience. Well, absolutely. We got to make sure our insurance market is competitive. And so I already have experience doing substantial things with the legislature. And, if I'm the treasurer, I'm going to take that skill set and my conservative ideology and make sure that we have a treasurer that advocates for good conservative financial policy, low taxes, low regulation, and a climate where businesses can thrive.
State lands have, they're a big part of our income too every year. Are we managing those well? And how much control over those do you think you'd have?
So the treasurer doesn't have control directly over the sale of state lands. We have the state land trust. There's about 9 million acres of land in that trust. And once that land is sold, the money gets deposited into the Permanent Land Endowment Trust Fund. The sale of the land is managed by the Department of Administration. And so there's, the treasurer doesn't have a lot of authority over that. What the treasurer does have authority over is Prop 123. And I wouldn't say authority, but at least input and influence. Is Prop 123. That was that law that was passed in the 2010s. It was a voter initiative. And it raised the distribution rate from the Permanent Land Endowment Trust Fund from 2.5% to 6.9%. And that 6.9% distribution gets distributed to 33 different education-related entities in the state from the Permanent Land Endowment Trust Fund. And that is actually managed by the Treasurer's Office. And so the Treasurer has always traditionally been a leader on Prop 123. You had, I think when it was really in the heat of the moment, Jeff DeWitt was the treasurer, and he was very much against it. The Governor Ducey, was for it, and so there was kind of a battle between the two of them over Prop 123. DeWitt's philosophy ended up proving wrong. That his argument was that 6.9 was too high, and that there would be times where the state land trust or the permanent land endowment trust fund didn't have enough money to pay out the distribution, and it would start eating into the principal. That ended up not being the case, and so the problem though is we've not had anyone actually sit down and do a pro forma and say, okay, how much more land do we need to sell, to make this safe and stable, and that's what I really want to do. One of the things that I've heard a criticism of, and I met with many people that are interested in this, is the Department of Administration isn't selling land at a fast enough rate. That if you actually do a pro forma and you look at it, because we have such strict guidelines, like for example, I think it has to be sold at like 90% of its value. We're not selling enough land fast enough. And so the question is, let's make that number, instead of 90, let's make it 80% of the assessed value. If it's 80%, if that land is going to sit dormant for 20 years or 30 years and it's not going to get any return at all, sometimes land doesn't appreciate, depending on where it's located, or doesn't appreciate by much.
Right.
With the balancing, what is the appreciation versus what is the what would the return be if we sold the land, put the money in the land endowment trust fund, and then we got a return? So I want to sit down and hire some really good people and do a pro forma and present it to the legislature and come up with a detailed, comprehensive plan on how we fix Prop 123 once and for all. And if you remember, the Prop 123 expired this year, and the legislature and the governor couldn't come to an agreement, and we were not able to renew it. And the legislature had to backfill $300 million from the general fund. So it's going to be very important that in January, the new treasurer is someone that knows and understands Prop 123 and knows finance and can do come up with some legislative proposal to fix this once and for all.
Good. And when we sell land, land that's just sitting there becomes a tax base. I mean, we actually collect money on it then.
Right. Absolutely. If it's developed we absolutely get tax revenue off of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some land's not developed. Obviously, sometimes developers buy the land and they sit on it for years until, for whatever reason, but generally, that land becomes a tax base.
Yeah, so it's a win-win. Guys,
Yes.
I saw something on Rosie O'Donnell the other day. I don't know how well you know Rosie, but
she's
in the news
but
for all the wrong reasons. But the reason she stopped doing work, she stopped working because she realized she was worth $100 million. She says, that's enough money. I could take care of everything and I could just do it. And she became one of the most miserable crones after that. I mean, she hates life. She hates everybody. She sees a psychologist every week trying to figure it out. And she's got Trump derangement syndrome so bad, I'm wondering if she can walk around. So maybe there's something to you continuing to work, even though you're already successful at a young age.
Well, I mean, it's look, my business is a great business, and I'm not going to say how much money I'm worth, but I'm worth it's my financial disclosures you can go online, you can see, or it paints a picture. I mean, look,
Sure.
I'm very comfortable. I could sell my business tomorrow and I would never have to work another day in my life. Before I was doing this, I kept wanting to build my business bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally was paid to travel the world and grow my company. It was a great job. I love it. And I still own my business. I have a CEO that runs it day to day. I plan on being a full-time treasurer. I do not plan on, I plan on going to the office every single day. My CEO has ran the business for, the last year that I've been in the race. I probably spend 2 to 3 hours a week, just making sure everything's, getting my reports and making sure everything's okay. So I have the time and energy to do this job. If for some reason I didn't win, I could always go back into my business and I'd be very, very happy. But
CEO wouldn't be happy. He'd have to find another job,
No, he wouldn't have to find another job. But I mean, when the system we set up is my job was to really grow the company into new markets, and his job was to just to kind of run the business in the markets we already existed in. And so we had a really good, kind of symbiotic relationship on how our which roles we defined, and so no, he would still have the job, but maybe he wouldn't be as happy with me in the office all the time. Because I'm a very strict boss. I run a very tight ship. But he's done a phenomenal job since I've gone, and the company's growing, and I have a great team of people that I've hired, which is also in my opinion a reason that I'm qualified. I know how to hire good people. I know how to create systems and get people in place that do the job well, and that's the skill set that I want to bring to the treasurer's office. And again, I think that's what really uniquely qualifies me in this race.
How important is it for the treasurer, for the state, to have Republicans get back into the governorship and some of these lead roles and Secretary of State, and put us on the right track? Because I feel like we're kind of floundering.
And Attorney General, it's absolutely critical. I think we absolutely have to get rid of Katie Hobbs on January 1st. If I'm elected and I'm the nominee, I'm going to do everything I can to promote and help our Republican gubernatorial candidate. Obviously at this point, it looks like it's going to be Andy Biggs based on the polling data that we've seen. But I think we have to do everything we can, whoever the nominee is, to make sure that we promote that person and we make them win. Because without a Republican governor at the top, a Republican treasurer is good and a Republican legislature is good, but the governor can do a lot of damage. And she has done a lot of damage. Our state has gone from one of the top states in the country for growth to now one of the bottom. If you just look at statistic after statistic, she's created an anti-business and anti-growth climate in our state. And we really need to go back to how it has been when we had a Republican governor. We have such a great state. It's a beautiful state. We have amazing cities, not just in Phoenix, but Tucson, Yuma, Prescott, Flagstaff, all these different places, although I wish Flagstaff was a little bit more Republican, all these places across our state, and we have so much potential. We just need to have the regulatory and economic climate that encourages growth. And right now, with our Democrat governor at the top of the ticket, we don't have that.
Ducey was open for business. Do you think he did a good job?
Look, some people are critical of Ducey. I'll say this from a financial standpoint. If we go back and look at him as the state treasurer, let's start there. There's been this notion in the treasurer's office, unfortunately, since Ducey left, of a kind of a passive treasurer, a treasurer that just kind of acts as a steward, so to speak. They don't actually do the job every single day. In fact, one of the former treasurers, and I'll never forget this quote because it was very disturbing, told me that it was the best job in the state because all you had to do was let the deputy treasurer do everything.
Oh, wow.
And you could use it as a squawk box to run for higher office. And that is to me, that is despicable. The people elect the treasurer to do the job. The treasurer is accountable to the people of Arizona. If the treasurer does a bad job and doesn't get good returns, or they lose principal, like there was a woman named Carol Springer who was the treasurer in the late 90s, the voters had the ability to fire the treasurer at the ballot box. And that's why the framers of our Constitution had an elected treasurer. The treasurer's job, in my opinion, is to lead the office and make high-level executive decisions, surround themselves with a good team that understands investments, understands finance, and can get a good return for the state. But at the end of the day, you're the leader of the office. If there is a major financial calamity on the horizon, like another 2008, or let's say we have an AI bubble, God forbid, which I hope doesn't happen, but there's a lot of speculation that it would, you need someone in that chair who can make the tough calls. And that's kind of a key difference between me and my opponent's campaign is, she, and I have no problem with her. I've met her, a very nice lady, but you look at her theory is that we should appoint unelected bureaucrats that have, let them control everything. And the treasurer's job is really just to hire and fire people in the office. And that's not my philosophy. My philosophy is we need to have an active treasurer. And going back to your question about Ducey, if you look at Ducey, he was an active treasurer when he was in that office. He went to the office every day. He traveled the state to try to get better returns on investment. There was no question that Ducey was the leader of the office. And since Ducey, it's kind of, I feel like we've gone to this model where the treasurer isn't doing the job that constitutionally they should be doing, which is serving as the leader and he's chief banking and investment officer of the state. And that's something that I want to go back to. But also back to your question as governor, from a financial standpoint, I mean, Ducey did do a lot of really good things for businesses. It was a very pro-business climate under his leadership. Businesses were constantly moving in. The Taiwan semiconductor deal, I think that was partially, because of him. Obviously, there were a lot of different people. So, in hindsight, from a finance standpoint, and again, I know there are people that have criticisms of him, and I know there are people that love him. I don't want to get into the weeds on that, but I think from a finance standpoint, he did do a lot for our state and delivered a very good economy for Arizona.
On that, I'm going to let you go. Elijah Norton, thanks so much for calling. Good luck to you. I hope to talk to you,
Thank you so
after
much.
January 1st when you get sworn in.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, take care, sir. Bye-bye.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
And of course, that was Elijah Norton running for treasurer. First time I spent that much time with him. I've met him in Phoenix and talked to him briefly at some Republican. Actually, it was Prescott, some Republican meetings and all that. But guy's on fire. Oh, no wonder he's successful. I mean, I'm trying to call Ted. Ted, good morning.
How are you doing?
Well, I was busy. I was talking to the next state treasurer, but that's okay. I don't mind calling you back.
Well, I just wanted all your listeners on your internet feed and all to call Representative Burchett in the speaker's office and complain to. I woke up I thought I was hallucinating this morning.
Hallucinating, okay.
Yeah, I thought I was on the Beverly Hillbillies show.
Why? What's going on?
Well, let's see. Mark Kelly's Jeffro Bodine. Our governor is Ellie Mae Clampett.
Wow.
And the stuff going up in DC with these commies, if they can call them that. It's like Drysdale and Jane Hathaway.
Uh-huh.
That's
Okay.
why I was.
Okay.
You
don't like these people,
classes?
but okay.
Did you take any psych classes in school?
Psychology is a hobby of mine, and yes, I did. Not that I majored in it or anything, but I even went back to college and took some. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I called you. I wanted you to do a psychoanalysis of me for thinking that they might be some decent human beings when it comes to politicians.
There are.
I must have some neuroses that just throws off my mental thinking about them.
Okay. What are you mad about specifically? What's going on specifically that you're upset about?
That they're traitors.
Traitors? How? Traitors.
Kelly.
Yeah.
All of them. They're traitors, man.
Well,
they won't stand up for the American public.
I don't think they stand up for what I believe in, and I don't think they do the right things. I think they're not my favorite politicians. I would vote them out any day I could, but to call them traitors, I don't know.
They already were going to go that route with Kelly. What he did was, by definition, being a traitor.
I mean, suggesting that military people don't have to follow orders. Yeah. I don't like it. And I think he should pay a price. And so far, the courts haven't let that happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's Rocket Man and all that, whatever. I know he excelled to some of the highest levels in the Air Force, but come on, man.
Yeah.
You don't undermine your president like that.
But you called Tim Burchett this morning to let him know that they're traitors.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right. And of course, that's a representative out of Tennessee, which is.
Yeah. Tennessee. Actually, I was all over him about Blackburn. Marsha Blackburn, that retarded.
I like Marsha.
No, she needs to ask Tim. There's only one Donald Trump, Russ. There's only one Donald Trump.
Right.
And she got to stop acting like she thinks she's like Donald Trump. What she did with them peanuts is the most retarded thing I've ever seen.
What did she do?
And I'm not changing what I said.
What did she do?
They have bags of peanuts on her desk. You beat them with a hammer or something, trying to make some point about busted nuts or something. She's retarded. I hate to say that. It's an embarrassment to the people of Tennessee to have somebody like that do something like that on national TV.
Wow.
Are we still in high school politics with these people? Did they make it past high school government class?
Don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I don't know. I'm, but you're not a fan.
No, not when they do stuff like that.
Okay. All right. And what'd she do with this hammer? She beat up.
Beating peanuts,
Okay.
bags of peanuts. It's the most retarded thing I've ever seen
All right.
of a adult politician. Any adult, I guess. I don't know.
All right.
But they got people that we need to start calling these people in their offices and complain to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous, man. It makes us look a laughing stock of the world. People like that.
I like her, and I tell you, I've even interviewed her husband a few times because he likes bow ties. He's a bow tie society guy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
The
knew
only
that
bow
about.
tie I want is a Chevrolet engine.
I don't wear bow ties.
That's the only bow tie. It's the only bow tie. I want.
Chuck wears bow ties. All right.
But like I say, I woke up and I needed a psychiatrist because I thought I was living on the Beverly Hillbilly shows.
I think
after
you
this
are.
crap with her and the rest of it.
All right. Well, have a great rest of the day, Ted.
You two, come on by. We'll have some fried possum and some collard greens.
I don't think I'm into it, but okay. Thanks. All right. Bye-bye.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.
Ted's having a bad day. Very specifically about how he wants the world to run, I guess. And I think he calls Burchett. Now, his mom lives in Tennessee, and I don't know what his roots are in Tennessee, but I do like Marsha Blackburn. I just looked her up real quick, see what she's doing. She's 74. I didn't know she was that old. Let's take a phone call. You're on the air.
Hey, Russ.
Good morning.
Listening to your program and listening to Fox News, they're having a super rare Supreme Court hearing asking for a raise for security and monies for the judges. And it's been pretty interesting. But our old girlfriend, Miss Blue Hair,
yeah,
what's her name?
She's out of Connecticut, Lisa or something. I don't know, but I know her. I know what you mean. Connecticut senator.
Yeah, the Democrat, the one that speaks and don't understand a word she's saying. Well, I listened to her, Russ, for about 5-10 minutes that she spoke, and I did not understand a word she said.
Yeah, she's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, buddy,
or the sharpest tack in the drawer.
Yeah.
But Supreme Court Assistant Judge Kaga, K-A-G-A, and Barnett were the two speakers today, the judge's assistants speaking for the raise. And,
well, I think they definitely need security, and it's Rosa is her name.
Yeah, Rosa, yeah.
And I think I'm wrong on Connecticut. I know she's from the Northeast, but
anyway, they're asking for money, and she comes up. From I understand, since 2024 and today, you seem to have a lot less cases in front of you, and you think you need more money for security? What in the world?
The reason she needs money for security is because even during Biden, they refused to enforce the laws of protesting and going after, these Chuck Schumer even.
Yeah. But for her to say, because you have less cases, you need more security?
Wow.
What kind of intelligence?
There is none. And I was wrong. She's not a senator, and it is Connecticut. And Rosa DeLauro, she's in the House. Yeah.
Right. She's a representative. You're right, Russ. I should have wrote that down. Please forgive
hard.
me.
Yeah, she's a joke.
Yeah. I just call her blue hair. Now her hair is not as blue as it was once.
Yeah.
But it's still blue and it highlights, and she had rings on her fingers. I mean, this is like look at me. Check out my hands. Between her blue hair and her obnoxious looking rings,
Yeah.
I don't know. But like I said, when she was speaking, I didn't understand a word she said. The only thing that she came out clear speaking was that, well, you have a lot less cases than you did in 24, and you believe you need more security?
What's that got to do with security anyway?
Exactly, Russ. Exactly is
That's
what I'm
just
saying.
nuts. But
Yeah.
that's the best they got. They're just malcontents, you know, gadflies.
Well, we know that she's part of the reason they're going to have communists and socialists in that state
Yeah.
because she's feeding them. She's feeding them and welcoming them. And we had a couple of others, Democrats, that I was impressed because they agreed. This is a non-partisan type thing.
It should be
We got
nonpartisan. We take care of it. No matter who it is. I don't care if it's Jackson
Yep.
or Kavanaugh. It doesn't matter.
And-
They should not be
Yep.
harassed.
Supreme Court assistant Kaga, Kaga.
I don't know.
Kagan.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's a Democrat, and she spoke highly of what's your name that just died? Well, I got a brain for it.
The one that what now? Kavanaugh?
The one that just died. The one.
Senator Case.
Graham. Is it Graham?
Yeah, Graham. Yeah, Lindsey Graham.
Well,
Yeah,
Lindsey Graham. Anyway, she spoke highly of him, and she thanked him for helping her get appointed to the Supreme Court.
and
So,
well, he voted. He voted for the person, and he stated out during the Kavanaugh hearings, when the left was just going nuts on Kavanaugh for no reason and trying to destroy him. He came out like a madman because he was mad, and he said, "Look, I voted for Democrats, and it's time to stop all this nonsense."
Yep, I listened to that last night, and I listened to it this morning.
Yeah.
And wow! But the fact that she came out and saluted Lindsey Graham this morning before she started her testimony.
Who was that? Kagan or did that, or Sotomayor?
No, Kagan. She's the one. Kagan and Barnett are the two.
Kagan. Okay, so she's Elaine Kagan.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're the ones that are talking for Supreme Court hearing.
I didn't think it would have been Ketanji Brown Jackson. I just don't get her. But,
No. She's a weird broad too. But anyway, I just want to say it was on TV. I enjoyed it. Now we're getting ready for Trump to speak on Iran. I guess the ambassador or the president of Iraq is on meeting with Trump this morning.
That has been an odd thing, and I didn't realize that they've been, kind of friendly and stuff.
Yeah.
And they want to shut Iran down too. The neighbors all think that Iran is kind of out of line, causing problems for the entire Middle East.
I think what they're looking for is airspace. Can we get in their airspace, Iraq? Once Iraq gives us the yes, you can, look out Iran, because we'll be able to fly over Iraq. That's what I'm interpreting this as.
Really? That'd be interesting to find out.
Yeah. Anyway, it's on the tube right now, or getting there pretty close.
All right.
Anyway, I thought I'd just tell you about the Supreme Court, the rare Supreme Court hearing, and they call it the rare Supreme Court hearing, asking for a raise in security.
I appreciate the call, my friend. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye. Yeah, it's Mr. Gilbert watching the news. I didn't know they were doing that, but the security for the Supreme Court, my gosh, this last few years of the left attacking the Supreme Court, calling them a sham, calling them, fake Supreme Court or whatever. I don't know. They call them all kinds of names and everything. They need security because it's just stirred up the weirdos, for sure. And they go into Kavanaugh's house screaming, and not just him, but others too. Yeah, one of my listeners says very few people get Ketanji Brown Jackson, including other justices that uncharacteristically kind of push back against her. They even the Democrats. I think Ketanji Brown right now is, when you start counting words, she talks more than all of them, but she should shut up. She should. I think Clarence Thomas is noted for speaking the least. He listens more, and when he does speak, people pay attention because he's got something important to say. I think Ketanji Brown's like Kamala Harris. She just runs off at the mouth. She's not as rhythmic and poetic, but she just doesn't. She doesn't make sense at times. Telling people they're too literal when they read the Constitution. You're too literal. Crazy. Some U.S. travel warnings that have gone out that are interesting. St. Lucia is in the Caribbean. I've never been to that island, but I highly recommend the Caribbean. It's fun. It's relaxing. It's, kind of get away from things. But violent crime, robbery, assault, burglary, and rape seem to have picked up a level that has got the attention of the State Department. In case you're going there, they've elevated a level 2 advisory. Exercise increased caution, adding a new crime indicator to the warning of crime. It notes that police response times are not as fast as the United States. Maybe that's because they're in islands or relaxing. I don't know. State Department says most crimes against foreigners are crimes of opportunity, purse snatching and pickpocketing. That's why I don't carry a purse. Yep. I don't want that thing taken. Yeah, pickpocketing. Put the wallet in the front pocket, guys. Don't put it in the back pocket. I don't even have a wallet. Well, I do. It's my phone. My phone's a wallet and a phone. I don't like having two. If I have a phone and a wallet separate, I'll leave one of them somewhere. If I have them both together, I tend to keep it. Plus, if I get too far away from my phone, my watch and my earpiece start yelling at me that I'm out of range. So if I do leave it somewhere, I know rather quickly. And then I've got a button on my watch that I press if I can't find my phone, which I know I put it down somewhere. I don't know exactly where. I can just push a button on my watch and it makes the phone start beeping so I can find it. It's very handy. And then I found my wallet all at the same time. It's a good program. But anyway, back to State Department. Suggestions when you're going to places that have an advisory or just in general. Avoid displays of wealth. And I think that same thing goes in Mexico and all that. Don't pull out a wad of hundreds and start flashing it around. That kind of stuff. Or wearing Rolexes. I don't know. Use caution when walking or driving at night. I like going to San Luis. I go to San Luis regularly at times. And I don't go there a certain time. In fact, Helen and I were down there the other day. And it was getting late afternoon. It's starting to get late afternoon. And I said, we got to go. We got to go. It's going to get late. I don't, people start disappearing. And as far as, off the streets aren't crowded anymore. And the snowbirds have gone home. And she was surprised. We had a bite to eat or something. And it was about 3:00 is all. And it starts getting, where nobody's around. And that's happened to me before when I noticed I get followed at that time of day. It's happened where I was being followed by somebody. No big deal, but I try to avoid all that. They also said not walking or driving at night. I wouldn't go down San Luis at night. And it's probably perfectly safe. It's okay. I just don't want, I wouldn't take the risk. Not physically resisting if confronted during a robbery. Now, see, I'd have a hard time with that. I mean, my first reaction would be, hell no. I'm not gonna give you my wallet, but I don't know. I think they're right. I just think I have a hard time with it. And also check your luggage carefully. And that goes for going to Mexico or anywhere, any place like for firearms or loose ammunition. I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories of somebody going into Mexico with their vehicle and there was a shotgun shell that rolled under the seat or they forgot to take out a firearm or something. It's not pretty. and you don't want to do it. A lot of these countries are very the firearm laws and stuff, and they're not friendly. And I don't think an excuse like my mistake, I didn't know it was there. I don't think that gets you off. I don't think so. Earlier this month, the State Department renewed its level 2 exercise and green caution advisories for Turks and the Caicos Islands. And see, I just assume maybe you guys are thinking about the islands because it's hot. You might go to the islands, relax, put your feet in the water, go scuba diving, maybe do some fishing. Travelers, they're warning travelers about sexual assaults, petty crime, scams targeting tourists, and the territory has very strict firearms and ammunition laws. Stay alert, crowded areas, use caution when walking or driving, and avoid physical resisting if you're confronted with robbery. They keep doing that. Avoid resisting. If you tell the robbers that, they're more likely to do it, maybe. But it's a good way to get hurt. When I owned Napa Auto Parts and I had a store in Somerton, the night driver didn't work for me. He worked for Napa Corporate, out of San Diego. I hired him. I was working corporate when we hired him. Mr. T, because I couldn't, Tajik or something was his last name. But he was delivering to the Somerton store, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago. And he got confronted by people who wanted to rob him. And no, Mr. T didn't put up with crap from anybody. He's Iranian. He came from Iran. He left when the Shah left because it got dangerous in Iran very fast because he's Christian. So he brought his family to the United States. They live in California. They murdered him right there on the streets in Somerton. I got the call at 2:00 in the morning because he resisted. Nobody was going to take Mr. T's wallet. We miss him, and it's unfortunate. It was a terrible deal. Terrible for Somerton, terrible for everything, because a couple punks, that were in Somerton at the time, they weren't local residents, but they were in Somerton, decide that's what they're going to do. So just know that in these islands and stuff, giving people your wallet sometimes may be the best of everything, The level 3 advisory for Venezuela. Is that all? Is there not a level 4? Particularly after the powerful earthquake, I guess, people are desperate. They've lived under communism for so long. They're going to stab you for food. Powerful earthquake, and they're just having a terrible time. The United States is down there helping. Always they sent money and stuff, which is good for some humanitarian stuff. Unfortunately, let me see. I got a quick story here on China. Donald Trump is warning China's power move at sea is a threat. Now, China's been moving the power at sea. I mean, they've been building battleships, and military ships like crazy. They're rolling off like they're at war. Yeah, like when we were at war, we put out Liberty ships like every day. Just rolled them out. Those were not warships; they were transport and for logistics and stuff. But we needed them. But China's doing that kind of stuff. I mean, they're putting out huge interest in war, and obviously they're preparing for something. And it's probably not defensive, but Beijing's been pursuing the strategy of acquiring port concessions infrastructure around the world, as they did in Panama. They really, because they were running the businesses at both ends of the Panama Canal and all that kind of stuff, they were doing that. But it's more than that. And I saw a story that there's like 100 and plus battleships that are roaming around in the China Sea out there by Japan and all of that, and Taiwan, of course, that they feel there's a there's a provocation from it. They're putting their ships on the other side of Taiwan, not the side of Taiwan that's between the two countries, but around there, just to get used to seeing them there, I guess. But Trump's warning it that it's terrible. Now we have a lot of assets over there too. I understand we have like 60 ships ourselves out in the air, between Japan and all that. We've got a lot. Japan's got quite a military, but really don't want a confrontation. But Trump says Denmark doesn't. Well, he's talking about Greenland. Denmark doesn't spend money to really help Greenland. It's an important part for the United States. It's surrounded by China ships and Russia ships. And it is. And China probably has more ships than we do. Right now, last I read, though, we had more tonnage. The aircraft carriers, one of them makes up a lot of tonnage, like that. They're bigger. And I, from all I understand, our ships are probably better equipped, technology and stuff. But China may disagree, and we may be surprised. I don't know, but Trump is putting out caution about it, and I think it should be taken seriously. They've been working very hard to take over the China Sea. Just because it's called China Sea doesn't mean it belongs to them. It's international. It's where trade routes. They've been putting in islands and building more ships and saber rattling. Yeah. In fact, we fly airplanes over there just on purpose. They fly over there all the time just to let them know we're not honoring the fact that you think that your territory has expanded, and we still recognize it as open sea. And I guess they got to keep doing that. They will. That's it for today. I'm out of time. Thanks for listening. I got plenty more to talk about, and I'll do that tomorrow. I'll see you on Wednesday morning. Thanks for listening. Mortgage One Studios with Russ.